Three. 3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I don't know. I just like to randomly sing happy
Whose
birthday.
birthday is it?
I don't know. It's somebody's birthday somewhere.
Anybody out there celebrating a birthday, Dot has chosen to serenade you today. So
Happy
welcome to the
birthday.
show.
Yeah.
And if it's not your birthday, wait until it is. Play this recording. It'll be a beautiful thing.
Happy birthday to you.
Nice. All right. Very good. Welcome to PDA. Everybody, thank you for showing up. If you did, if not, screw you. No, I'm just kidding. Listen later. We'd appreciate it. Anyways, how we doing today, everybody?
I'm doing good. Excellent.
Good.
Connor's foot, not so good. What the foot?
Well, he was going downhill anyways.
What? What happened? What am I missing?
Connor, McGregor. That's what it is, McGregor, right?
Yeah. What the
Oh
foot?
my God. His leg like broke in half.
Oh my God, really?
You haven't seen that? It's like all over. I didn't even watch the fight. I didn't even know there was a fight. That's how little I know. Go on Facebook for 5.5 seconds, and all you'll see is like crap about his broken leg.
His quote is what the foot.
It is so nasty. Like it's like one of those like, you know, where you can see like, oh, it's so gross. And there's like one on Facebook where it's literally just a meme of in slow motion his leg like going.
Like Dak Prescott. What happened to Prescott?
What?
It's like what happened to Dak.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was pretty rough.
I like him though. I watched that. You know, he did that movie thing where they followed him around.
Who's that?
No?
Dak?
Ewan McGregor.
Not Ewan.
No?
Nope.
Connor. Sorry. You're right. It is.
Yes.
It's the other McGregor. No relation.
Right.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
No, who is am I thinking? Ewan something. Ewan. Anyways, whatever. Conor McGregor. He did that video where they followed him around.
Nope.
It was like a whole movie. Like it was in movie theaters even. It wasn't even just like a Netflix thing. Like it was a big deal. Yeah.
It was like Liam Neeson or something.
No, I mean it was like a documentary. It wasn't like it was his real life. They like followed him around before he was like leading up to one of his big fights. He had just gotten injured really, really badly. They said he wasn't going to come back. He came back. He whooped the shit out of the dude. It was pretty awesome.
It wasn't a fight he had with Mayweather because he got the foot out of him on that one.
I thought Mayweather lost that fight. No.
Oh, man, there were memes of him getting hit so hard he was spitting out the side of his face.
Well, you can get hit hard and not lose. Did he lose the fight?
Yeah, he lost that fight, bro.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
no. Yeah, he shouldn't have. Mayweather took him out to the deep.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was an MMA fighter trying to box.
Well, you should be able to know how to box. It's nobody's fault that you can't box.
Right. But what I'm saying, if it would have been the other way around, Conor McGregor would have killed him.
Yeah, of course.
See? Yeah. You step out of your own,
It was a boxing match?
It was a boxing match.
Oh, of course he got his ass whooped. Are you kidding me? Mayweather's a badass boxer.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
In one part, it's like MMA, you should be able to know how to box. Mixed martial arts. Boxing is just one thing. Boxing.
Absolutely.
You see my point? So yeah,
you're not a
maybe
gold
you don't know how to kick.
medal super boxer, or else you would be boxing.
But that was the point of him getting his face punched in. You could box.
Right. You're right. He needs to know how to box, but not on a super professional, getting a belt level, or else you would be boxing.
He should have watched his mouth.
You're absolutely right. I give you that, but I'm telling you, if he boxed that well, he would be boxing. He wouldn't be MMA.
Right, yeah, right. I mean, because you're not talking. Mayweather wasn't like some chump. You know what I mean? Like I'm such a good fighter, even though he's like a pro boxer. I could still go. I mean, Mayweather was like top of the game. Well, he was what, middleweight, right?
Yeah, middleweight.
I think he did like one heavyweight fight towards the end or something.
It's welterweight and
Who was was he the one that did like 3 different? Was that Mayweather that did? Okay.
Well, he went from like super light to
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he like won a belt in like 3 weight class. I mean, this did like 4 8
Conor has 1 and 2
for boxing.
No, MMA.
MMA, right? I'm saying, right. If Mayweather had gotten into the freaking octagon with him, he would have been crying for his mama. You know what I mean? Like you can't, come on. Like those
No, not necessarily true though. Think about it like this, and here's a unique take on that. Mayweather is a golden Olympic medal boxer, right?
Right.
Imagine with the rules off.
Imagine with the rules off. Is that what you said?
Like street fighting per se. People look at the factor of, okay, well.
So you're saying not MMA, not boxing, just as men and fucking going at it. Is that what you're saying?
If Mayweather did not have the regulation of boxing and it was open terrain, yeah, Conor might be able to tackle him and kick him.
Yeah.
If Mayweather got his hands on him, it might actually be worse for Conor.
No.
Look, I mean, anybody who's trained to throw a real fucking punch, who's got any fucking strength whatsoever, if you give them an outright open, connected, I mean, any of those guys could knock any motherfucker out with one punch if it's the right punch. Conor could knock his ass out if he gets him right. The only difference is Conor spends, all day, every day training on how to knock him out with his fist and his elbow and his shoulder and his knee and how to fucking tie him up and squeeze his fucking balls until he taps out. You know what I mean? Like all these other fucking ways on top of he could land one punch and knock him out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, look,
badass fist. Yeah.
You're not wrong. I mean, Mayweather's a good enough fighter that, am I saying it's impossible that on any given day he could go in there, no matter what the rules were, and get a right punch in? And of course he could. Of course he could. He's
man.
Well,
Same thing.
Anything's possible. But
look, same thing.
If you're asking me what I'm putting all my money on in a fucking MMA fight, like I'm betting on Conor, and then I'm going to sleep and not even worrying about watching the fucking fight. That's what I'm saying.
Right. That's
well, you would have lost the money last night, buddy.
Well, that guy was an MMA fighter. He wasn't a boxer. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have bet on that shit.
Because Conor foot was like, you know what?
Oh, so disgusting, dude. I didn't even know what it was because I didn't know anything about the fight, right? And like I'm reading the thing as I'm kind of watching the video at the same time. It all hits me what I'm seeing all at the same. I'm like, oh, god damn, that's fucking wrong. You know what I mean? Why you put that shit on my stream? I don't want to see that.
Even if he didn't, even if his foot didn't quit, he was gonna get beat. He was gonna get his ass beat, bro.
It wasn't even, I don't even think it was his foot. It's like halfway up his shin. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like his shin bone broke in half.
He disconnected his foot from his leg. It was just his foot.
Oh, yeah. Good. I mean, not good, but compared to what I thought it would happen, that's way better.
Yeah, he got a sprained ankle.
Whew. Anyways, all right. So, I mean, I don't know if that's what I call that. I've had a sprained ankle. It didn't look like that shit.
He got a sprained ankle.
Man, he tried to walk on it. I ain't right.
That dude's a badass. That's why I'm saying I don't know how you don't like that dude. He not only is he a badass fighter, he seems like he's a pretty nice fucking dude on top of all that shit. I mean,
he's super trash now. Like you saw his sportsmanship sucks.
Why? What'd he do?
Oh, you didn't see the rest of the memes. The conversation with Rogan when he got mad, when he said Peore had checked one of his kicks. And he's like, he didn't check anything. He didn't check none of my kicks. His wife is in my DMs. Like, really?
Yeah.
That's what he's doing, bro?
Well, yeah, he does. He talks a lot of shit. But he does. But I mean,
he talks shit about the guys fucking. I mean, that's part of the whole thing. They're supposed to do that. Like that. That's not.
What's his name talks
know.
about
That was that's bad timing to talk shit. Like
He lost. If he won, if he had just
he was beating his ass. Conor was getting his ass handed to him.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be, I think, quite the opposite. The wrong time to do it is after you've just broken somebody else's leg and they've just lost, and then you're like, and I'm fucking his wife too. That's in bad taste, right? But when you're the guy who just got his ass whooped, it's not nearly as big of a deal. You know what I mean? Like, because you ain't the one who's like, you know, like the other guy's the one who's sad. You know, like who gives a shit when you just won? I don't know. I'm not a huge MMA guy, but I mean, same thing with boxing. You watch all the shit leading up to it, and after they talk a lot of shit about each other. I mean, that's pretty standard stuff. I don't think it necessarily means he's a bad dude. But if you watch like the interviews and like this movie that followed him around for 2 years, I mean, he seems like a pretty decent dude.
Yeah, I mean, Mayweather is one of the biggest shit talkers.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't Mayweather that he fought last night, but Mayweather talks so much shit.
So much shit.
But Mayweather backs it up.
And I liked it. That's one of the reasons I like him. That's maybe I don't have a problem with it though. That's what makes him fun. I mean, fuck. Tyson said he was going to eat the dude's kids. You know what I mean? Like,
but Tyson might.
That's what I'm saying. And everybody still loves Mike Tyson. So what are we talking about?
Start with the ear, put a little barbecue sauce on it.
And then he tried to eat that dude afterwards. First he said he was going to eat his kids, then he tried to eat him. You know, I mean, things get heated.
He was hungry. Nobody's feeding Mike Tyson. Nobody was feeding Mike Tyson.
It's like that.
He never lost his hunger.
He's like the dude from the Cinderella story, only nobody gave him the bowl of mash before the fight, you know, and he was still hungry.
Mike is one of those guys, man.
I love that movie, with
I never seen it.
Russell Crowe?
Yeah, never seen it.
Oh, come on. It's like Rudy or
I've never seen it.
It's like watching Rudy or the hockey movie where we beat the Russians, or Rocky 3.
I don't really like the actor.
With Tommy Guns?
No, that's 4.
Oh, that's what Conor should do. He should do.
No.
Tommy Gunn
Gunn died of AIDS.
No. 4 is the Russian. 5 is Tommy Gunn.
Yeah,
I messed that up the other day with your sister because she was saying she loves Rocky 4, and I was like, Rocky 4, really? The one with Tommy? I said the one with Tommy Gunn. She goes, no, the one with the Russian. I was like, no, that's 3 because the first 2 are Apollo Creed, and then the Russian. I forgot all about Mr. T.
You forgot about Mr. T. That's right.
Mr. T's number 2.
Rocky.
Oh, 5'2" Mr. T.
Right. So it's Apollo in the first one, then it's Rocky, then it's Apollo again, then it's the Russian, then it's Tommy Gunn. Yeah. And then I don't even know.
It goes to like the sun for a little bit too. And
there was one. No, I think that's the same one.
Oh, that is the Tommy Gunn in it.
The Tommy Gunn one. So I think the next one was like reboot that had the dude from The Wire in it and fucking Black Panther and shit. Creed.
Well, no, there was one that was actually like a Rocky one. He came back.
Oh, yeah, where there wasn't really any fighting, right? Wasn't there one that was just about him being old or some shit?
His son, no, that was the one with his son, where his son grew up.
That was Creed.
No. Like that the one with his son is the one with Tommy Gunn in it.
No, that was Balboa.
Balboa or some shit like that, where it's just like him. Balboa. He owns a restaurant and goes and visits his wife's grave and shit. But I don't think, is there any boxing in that at all?
Balboa. Creed is Apollo's son.
Right.
This was a movie about Rocky and his son.
He actually trains his son in it?
No.
That's what I'm saying. There's no boxing in it, right?
No, no boxing, no.
Right.
Off-channel film. You can look it up. It's probably, I think it was called Balboa.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
it's good.
Balboa.
It's good. It's not a boxing movie, but it's good.
No, it's not at all. It's just utilizing the characters and had like a story. That's all about him and his son.
Right. It's like him, and he's kind of washed up a little bit. No, I don't wash it, but I mean, he was like, doesn't have money anymore. He like runs a little restaurant
and his son
and
like
lives in
some
a little
shit.
house in the neighborhood and his wife every day or
Yeah.
some shit. I mean, that's about it.
Yeah.
She's dead now.
Audrey or Adrian or.
And I think Creed picks off from that
There
storyline though. You know what I mean?
there
Like when he goes to
absolutely
see
is a
him,
fight.
I think it's the
It
same
picks off from that line and comes back.
character from Balboa. You know what I mean?
Rocky Balboa, there is a fight.
Right.
There is a fight.
Which was smart and good. Like I thought that was like, if you had told me we're gonna make another Rocky movie, I'd been like, give it up. You know what I'm saying? like I've had enough Rocky. Right? You know what I mean? Like
yeah, there was a fight. There was a fight. It was there was a fight. It was like I don't even know who the
Balboa
item was.
Yeah,
in Balboa.
Yeah,
because it was basically what it was like the champion of that time. Like they made a video game of that year.
Yeah,
and then like Rocky Balboa's character, if you played him on the video game, he would beat the current champion, and it started pissing off the current champion. So he made a fight where he would fight in actually live.
I don't remember that at all. That's stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's straight up stupid.
Of course he would have gotten his ass whooped.
And the son comes in and trains him.
Oh, I don't remember that part. Well, anyways, then the movie was pretty dumb. I changed my mind.
No, it was okay. It was slightly dumb.
Actually,
but,
I liked all the Rocky movies, man.
Come on, at 85, you know how old he is now? Like,
well, it wasn't right. It was in 2006.
Oh, okay. You know how old he was in 2000? That doesn't change the point at all. He's still like a fucking.
A little more believable.
No, it doesn't. Not even the slightest bit more believable. If it had been 10 years before that, it wouldn't have been believable. Like, give me a fucking break. The dude's like 80 something.
He was like roided up and shit.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's what he said about when he started making the Rambo movies again. And the first one he made, that he said it took him a bunch of fucking, like they had to really convince him to do it because he has to like take all these fucking like steroids and do all this shit to just get in the shape to do it because it's so fucking hard on his body and shit, which of course it is. He would have been 60 at the time or something.
Is he the one that got caught coming into the country with steroids?
I don't think so.
One of them.
I mean, these like steroids aren't illegal.
Coming in steroids.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't him. I mean, he openly I mean, steroids aren't illegal. If I'm like, these were it was prescribed medication from his doctor. You know what I mean? To get into the condition he needed to be in to do the film. He wasn't taking them illegally, so he wouldn't have had it.
I got nothing. But one
not
of them
allowed what?
Caught,
Pretty sure it wasn't him. I mean, he's been pretty open about how he'll use them to get in shape for certain movies and shit like that. I mean, again, a lot of the fucking sports players that use them aren't breaking the laws. I mean, some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. They're just breaking the rules of the sport that they play in. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that they're doing anything illegal. They have a doctor prescribing it to them. People get fucking prescribed steroids all the fucking time. Anyways,
finally,
what I was saying about Creed was after all the Rocky shit, it was like, what are you gonna do that's gonna make me even remotely fucking interested in watching this shit again? The guy's 80 years old or something. I don't want to watch him fucking box and pull a muscle. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? And then he was training in Creed's kid. I was like, oh, that's great, you know? And the dude that played him used to be a skinny little punk. You know, I don't know, punk is exact, but I mean, he used to be like a real skinny dude. And then all of a sudden he was like, I was like, oh shit, look at this dude ready to fuck up some shit. You know what I mean? It was crazy. He had to have gained like at least 40, 50 pounds in muscle for that movie. I mean, look, I like that actor. I've been watching him since he was on The Wire, and he's one of the kids that came out of that show. I mean, a lot of people have had success over that show, but there was like a group of kids in the series, and he's like one of the only ones that has a steady acting career. You will see them pop up like as guest roles on Law and Order or some shit, like, you know what I mean? But not like he's the only one who is like a big famous actor now. And
you cut out.
he was really good in The Wire too, anyways, but he was on TV. I always liked him, always thought he was really good. And so I'm, like, know what the dude looks like. When somebody said he was doing a boxing movie, I was like, is he like, baby featherweight or something? Like, what's the tiniest weight group you can be in? Because I don't even know if he'd fucking make that. You know what I mean? Dude was small,
Yeah.
And then show his ass in the picture, and I'm like, God damn, Sylvester Stallone's doctor was hooking that dude up, is all I'm saying, Good Lord, he got big. He was all ripped up for the Panther movie too.
Yeah.
Now he's just big. I haven't seen the second Creed. I started to watch it. I got bored.
I like bought the movie and everything. I just didn't watch it.
It was like the whole thing was like, I think it was predictable for a sequel, but it was like, he got all famous, and then it was like, right. Oh, I'm gonna need a new trainer because you can't travel, and like.
So as usual, I'm gonna need you to say that you were wrong and that I am right.
About what?
Stallone was fined $2,500 by an Australian court on Monday for illegally bringing 48 vials of human growth hormone into Australia during a promotional trip.
Into Australia. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what the rules in Australia are for steroids, so I'll give it to you. I didn't realize you were talking about smuggling them into another country. That's certainly possible. Yeah, that makes sense.
I got what he said. This stuff gives your body a boost. You feel and look good. Doing Rambo is hard work, and I'm going to be in Burma for a while. Where do you think I'm going to get this stuff in Burma?
Yeah, see what I'm saying. He was
dealing covertly with some banned substance in some sort of secret way. His lawyer, Phil. So apparently he was like, and I think what the deal was is that he told people that he told customs that he had a prescription for it, and he didn't actually have a prescription for it.
All right, that sounds about right. I didn't realize you. When you said for smuggling it, I thought you meant he was trying to smuggle steroids like into the United States, and I was like, oh, that doesn't sound right.
I thought it was into the United States, but apparently it was into Australia. So he said he had a prescription for this gentropin, but gentropin was not legally available for retail use in the United States.
Oh. Well, I mean, Australia's on the other side of the planet. Maybe he stopped somewhere where you can legally get a prescription for it.
Australia has like all these strains, and like Australia, New Zealand, those are two places that like you gotta have like all types of there's weird laws out there.
But you know what? Until like
I mean, there's
I think only 10 years ago it was illegal to be homosexual in not Australia, the other one you mentioned.
What was the other place you mentioned, Dot?
That's now he muted himself.
Oh.
It's another island.
Oh no, I've never been to Australia. I got a friend that lives in
No, he didn't ask you that. He said, what was the other country you named? Australia and what else?
Oh, New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah. Of like 10 years ago, it was still illegal to be gay in New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, there's other places where drugs and prostitution and shit are rampant, but like if you get caught with drugs, they hang you. It's like fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like Taiwan, I don't know if it's Taiwan, but it's like, there's like all these Asian countries where like it like punishable by death to have weed in your pocket, and yet it's like where everybody goes to like sleep with 12-year-olds and get fucked up. It's weird.
I'm sorry, I do not know anything about that. You are a sick man.
I'm a knowledgeable person.
It's
completely different
like
things.
That, like over in the Philippines and Thailand and these little odd island countries.
Yeah. All right, so we actually had a topic today that wasn't Rocky. Anybody got anything left that they needed to say about Rocky before we switch over?
No,
I
think
was
we're
looking
good.
up some of the statistics while we were arguing. So what we had touched on a couple of weeks ago was we were talking about I know what it was. I was talking about how, you know, it seems like the standard thinking is that, you know, men are horrible, sexist, misogynistic.
Did you announce the subject?
I will get there, I promise.
Oh, this is the lead in to the announcement?
I'm saying last week we were talking about the fact I was saying that, yes, this is the lead in,
This is
that
the lead in. Got it.
I think that this idea that men are more abusive, you know, is it maybe a small amount, right? But like on a massive scale, like that there's some massive difference between the way men treat people and women treat people. I don't think is true. I think that that the main reason why you see a lot more sexual harassment cases that involve men as the perpetrator is because of a different issue, which is a problem, and that's that men are more likely to be in a place of power than women are. Well, that's not good, and that shouldn't be true. A whole different problem, but a real problem, right? I think that as we've started to see more women grow into the positions that they should rightfully be in, right, and you're seeing more and more women in positions of power and who have control over situations and can take advantage of that, you're seeing that cases of sexual harassment are rising, that involve women as the perpetrator, right? And what I was trying to get at was that I don't think there's really much of a difference between how any of us treat human beings. That you get a large enough group of men, of women, of gay people, of straight people, of Catholic people or religious people, black people, white people. I don't think it really matters. If you get a large enough group of them together who have the power to take advantage of, they do, right? A certain percentage of them do, at least. And I don't think that percentage is going to vary. Right. I don't think that percentage is going to vary quite significantly no matter what the group is. I don't think any of us are much better than any of the rest of us are. Well, no, I mean, a lot of us are better than other people are, but I'm just saying, I don't think there's a group. I think one of the things that we've kind of gotten away from in society is the understanding that when you place people into a group based on one thing, that's literally the only thing you can guarantee that they have in common, right? If it's all men, the only thing that every single one of those people is going to have in common is that they're men. If it's all women, it's that they're all women. None of us can you put into a group where all of those people are going to have multiple things in common with each other. That's just not how it works. We're all pretty unique people. And yes, we all share commonalities with other people, but not because they're men or because they're women. There's billions of people. And so some of us are going to have some things in common with each other. You know what I mean?
You're forgetting about straight white males.
Well, yeah, we're really shitheads. That we all know is true. So anyways, that's kind of where it started. And in that conversation, we started talking about why I thought that. And we got started to get into, but really didn't have enough time, the idea that there are a lot of men's issues that not only don't get talked about, but you seem to kind of get crucified if you try to talk about them. The idea is that if you think that there are things that men should be concerned about as men, and that maybe other people should be aware of this concern that we should be addressing about men, that you're saying that women either don't have issues or aren't as important, or that the men's issues are more important, and so on and so forth. And then I think the other sad thing that happens anytime anybody tries to kind of organize this idea and think about it is that the really shitty, hateful men groups like incels and all these assholes jump on board, right? And then it becomes real easy for people who want to sabotage that idea to do it, because you have all of these douchebags like, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. He hates women too. You know what I mean? It becomes really hard for whoever is talking about it to be like, no, I don't agree with those assholes. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. How many times can you get on TV and say that if you got 4 million people out there preaching that you agree with them? You know, it kind of becomes the snowballing effect of people that want to get rid of you, and then other people giving them an easy excuse to write you off. And it happens all the time. There's this one guy who had been part of the women's rights movement for like 25 years. Or I mean, like he'd picketed, he'd gotten arrested, he'd gotten beat up. He like fought cases in court, like helped literally make real change for women. And then just started realizing based on conversations he was having, things like, you know, and I've been trying to look up some of the statistics here as we're talking, but like suicide rates for men are much higher. Drug and alcohol abuse is much higher with men than with women. Abuse rates, I did look up, and this shit is shocking. Hold on. So they did it by age group. So for females, the largest age group of women with experiencing violence from their partners, 18 to 24 is 38.6%, 11-17 is 22.4%, 35 to 44 is 6%. It just keeps going down. For men, ages 18 to 24 is 47%.
Wait, say what now?
25 to 34 is 30%. I mean, so the largest age, like it's a different age group, but the age group that suffers the highest percentage of abuse in men is higher than in women. Like the highest, the 18 to 24 is the age group of women that suffers the most abuse. It's 38.6%. The age group for men is 18 to 24. It's 47%. That's like 9% higher than the group of women, the largest age group.
I'm sorry.
For women being
for men again.
Huh?
What was the age group for men you said?
18 to 24 is 47%.
18 to 24 men are getting beat all the time.
Like half of us, apparently. Yeah.
Is it by your spouse? Or is it specifically by your spouse? Or just like getting beat up?
By your intimate partner. You don't have to be married, but your significant other.
Damn. Half.
Yeah. And 25 to 34 is still like really close to.
I really didn't think there was that many men.
Oh, you know what? That is the same age group. I'm an idiot. Yeah, 18 to 24 for women is the largest group. 18 to 24 for men is the largest group. And that age group is 9% more likely to be abused if they're a man than a woman. Now, how many people actually think that? How many people are thinking that young men are getting their asses kicked by their wives and girlfriends significantly more often? I mean, that's almost 10% more. That's not a small difference. You know what I mean?
Half of all men are coupling up with Mexican women. Is that what's happening?
I think it doesn't explain why, but I mean, I think it's that. I mean, are they like getting put in the hospital? I don't know. But like, you know, a woman can throw a pitcher at, you know, like a woman can throw a pot at a dude. That's not really considered the end of the world. Nobody makes a big deal about that. You know what I mean? Like she just got pissed at you, you know, or she slaps you or sorry. I mean, how many times you see in TVs when a dude fucks up and a girl's pounding on him and he's like trying to wait, stop, you know, if a man did even that, right? I mean, I admit I don't think that's that big of a deal because the guy doesn't look like he's really getting hurt. But if a guy did that, even if the girl isn't really getting hurt, that would be totally unacceptable. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely a different standard for what's acceptable.
Thrown at me before.
Huh?
I've definitely gotten the chancla thrown at me before, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's why it doesn't surprise me, because a lot of what happens that's acceptable behavior to do as a woman to a man is unacceptable when a man does it to a woman. You know what I mean? So that's why our 47% of men ending up in the hospital, no, I'm sure that's not true. You know what I mean? But suffering some kind of abuse from their partners, I think that's probably not even that ridiculous when you consider that it's not even really considered that socially unacceptable. And then, look, let's look up another one. All right. Let's do suicide statistics. So it's almost twice as much, 1.8. So almost twice as often with men than for women. That's not 10%. That's 100% more often. That's a big fucking difference. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Drug and alcohol abuse is another one. No, pounds. What the hell?
Wow.
Yeah. Trying to find. I think women are also more likely to recover if they do suffer. I can't find anything with the statistics. I mean, it says 12% of males, American males, are likely to fall victim. 7.3%, almost twice as much. Nah, 60% more likely. That's again a pretty significant difference. 60% more likely. I mean, you know what I mean? That's big difference. And the other one is way men are treated in like family court system. I mean, you know, if
Oh
you
yeah,
get
that's a big
divorced,
one. The
I
whole
mean, a woman has to
children
really
go to the
fuck
mom.
up to not get the kids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they have to damn near be a fucking prostitute drug addict to not get the kids. And I mean, even if it was just that, like, women are more likely to get the kids unless you could prove that it's a better situation with the man. Okay, I mean, that still seems like not exactly sure why that's true in a world where we're talking about how unfair gender roles are and why we assume that one gender should be better at something than another gender is. It does often seem like that comes into play when it's something that's a negative gender role, right? But when it's a gender role that works in the favor, it doesn't seem to be quite as big of an issue. And I know that that's not always the case, right? I know, like, sometimes women go out on dates and they get offended if you pay, right? Because, like, why should you pay just because you're a man? But that's not normally the case. Like, a woman might say, no, I'll go ahead and split the check with you. But if she assumes you're going to pay, that's okay too. Nobody's going to say jack about that, right? And nobody seems to be getting outrageously upset about that. Nobody seems to be really mad about the fact that if we have a draft, only men can be drafted. Nobody seems to care that, like, if a ship goes down, women and children get to get on the lifeboats first. I mean, isn't that awfully sexist? I mean, not the children part. That makes sense. What is it? Why, like, what about being a woman? Do you float better or something? Like, what's it like? I mean, it's crazy, right? There's all these things. And here's the thing. Look, do I think that women don't have issues? Of course, I don't think that. Obviously, they do. Really, really crazy, horrible ones. And we should take those all extremely seriously. And they're not really a joke. We try to be funny, but it's bad stuff. It definitely is. But it seems like one of the things people talk about a lot are how unfair gender roles have been towards women, right? That they've been put into this group that, like, they're expected to stay at home. They're expected to take care of the kids. They're not expected to do this or that. And I don't disagree with that. That's definitely true. But I don't think that they're any more victim of that than we have been, right? I mean, the gender roles are just different. We've also just been just as much expected to go out and work and, provide money for your family, right? And to, be the one that deals with danger, right? You stand between you and your family, if there's violence, you're the one who's supposed to get shot. You're supposed to one that's supposed to go down with the boat, right? I mean, those are all gender roles that aren't very fair gender roles. You know what I mean? Like those aren't things that we were like, oh boy, we get to be the ones who get shot at. Like, yay, thank God we're men, woohoo! Like, and the other one
that is taught from when you're 5 years old on. I mean. You're indoctrinated.
My kids get offended by the idea of gender roles, which I guess is great progress. You're never going to convince me that it's not my job to get my ass kicked so that everybody else in my family doesn't have to. Like, I know that's my job. You're never going to convince me it's not. Like, it's been ingrained into the DNA of who I am at this point. You're never going to change my mind about that, right? I mean, but it probably shouldn't be.
Me and my wife have already talked about it. If someone comes up to us, I'm take the guy out. She's responsible for the kid, and they take off. And if they happen to come by a telephone at some point, call and get me some help. But other than that, it's get out of there. Don't stick around.
Me and my wife haven't even talked about it. I'm saying like it, and I'm not mad at her for it. But it wasn't even a conversation that needed to be had. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, of course, that's what's going to happen.
You should have a conversation just to make sure she doesn't stick around. Because that's the other thing. I don't want her just like sticking around and then a straight bullet hits her. I
know it's your sister. She's not sticking around, Victor. I don't need to have a conversation with her to know the answer to that question. Okay? She's going to get the fuck out of there, whether I'm staying to slow people down or not. That's not part of the conversation. I love my wife. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. Like, good for her. But she's not ever been the kind of person that's like, no way am I putting up with this shit. Like, no. She's the person who's going to get the fuck out of there and not deal with it.
I remember at your property, and there were some people out there, and she was in the background yelling, "I got my gat! Don't make me get my gat!"
Yeah, but that was because that was funny. That wasn't real. Like, I wasn't scared in that situation. Neither was she. There wasn't anything scary about it.
Yeah, it wasn't the bluff behind us, but still, she was down.
Yeah, Mickey. Look, if somebody tried to fight her and I wasn't there, she would get into the fetal position and play dead. I know this. Like, I know this about her. Here's the thing: she's not a weak person. Like, like we're 40 now, but when we were younger, we used to like wrestle around and like. I mean, she pretty tough girl, like she's got some muscles and she's tough, but she is not a fighter.
yeah. I don't think she's ever been in a fight. Like,
I'm sure she hasn't. And that's another thing. Like, as men and women, like, I think most women can say they've never been in a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe. I mean, like, even you look at these statistics. Even statistically, with spousal abuse, most women. Over 50% of women are not going to get abused by their spouses, right? If you look at the statistics, most of them are not going to get in fights. If anything, even the really obnoxious ones, they talk a bunch of shit with the idea that somebody else is going to fight, not them. Yeah. You know what I mean? My boyfriend's going to fuck you up. You know what I mean? Or you got the Karens at the club that they don't think somebody's going to fight for them. They just know nobody's going to touch them because no matter how much they deserve to get knocked the fuck out, everybody knows that if a dude does that, he's going to get his ass pounded on by half the fucking club because that's just not acceptable, even if they deserve it. You know what I mean? You can't do it. Everybody knows it.
I've definitely been the boyfriend in that scenario.
Oh, I've definitely, yeah. I had a girlfriend that almost got me killed several times before I broke up with her dumbass. Yeah, she thought it was great fun, never having to deal with the consequences of it. But even those, those are the obvious ones. But here's the one that really gets me: is this whole thing about like women had to stay home and take care of the kids, and men got to go out and work. Like, you realize for like 85% of men, that meant going to a job that they fucking hated to bust their fucking ass to bring home money to take care of their family. They're not out there playing golf and drinking scotch. They're like doing shit nobody wants to do for like 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day to make money. How the fuck is that a privilege? Like I'm not, look, I'm gonna be really clear. I don't think taking care of kids is easy by any stretch of the imagination. It's a hard fucking job, all due respect, right? But it's also a really rewarding job where you get to spend time with your kids. You know what I mean? Like, if you're telling me my options are, pick fruit in the hot sun and break my back for like sun up till sundown, or get to hang out with my kids all day, even while they're screaming and pooping and fucking shit up. You know what I mean? I'd still rather do that like any day of the week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear
and
you.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe there's plenty of men who'd rather be picking fruit, and that's fine too. But this idea that like we got this huge gift of being able to go out and follow our dreams, that's not what most of us got to do. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna be the dissenting part of this.
Okay.
Apologize to all the men that are listening, but abso-fucking-lutely, when my son was like Viper shitting age, I was very happy to go off to work.
Yeah, what kind of job were you going to? That's the difference.
Or I was in an office with
yeah. I'm not saying that there aren't men, not only that had jobs that maybe sucked, but didn't suck as much as taking care of your kids. Obviously, that's true. And then there are people that have jobs that don't suck, like that do get to play golf and drink scotch and go have lunch with their friends. And those guys, that's great, but that's not the majority of people, is my only point.
Yes.
And maybe some men would have rather gone out and worked hard than have to take care of the kid. I'm sure that's also true, right? But my point is, none of us had the choice, right? Yeah. Like, it wasn't like we went to work because we decided that was the better of the two options. We went to work because that's what we were supposed to fucking do. We didn't have a choice in it, is my point. Just like women didn't have a choice in staying home and take care of the family, I don't think we had any more choice in whether or not we went out to work to support our family. Now, did some people not do that? Sure. I mean, there's deadbeat assholes who like ran off or became alcoholics or whatever the fuck. And there's also women who took off and didn't take care of their kids or became alcoholics and did a shitty job at it, right? I mean, like, all those things are true. I'm not saying that like we all did the right thing, right? But I'm just saying the choices that society gave us as that were the right and wrong choices, we didn't have any. It really pisses me off, this idea that there's like this cabal of men who like at the very beginning were like, we're going to work so that we don't have to take care of the kids. Like, that's not what fucking happened. What happened is a really long fucking time ago, people looked at each other and were like, you kind of bigger and stronger and could probably do a better job of going out and hunting and collecting shit. And I have breasts that can feed our children. So I'd probably be better for staying at home and feeding them than you would be. And that's what people did.
And, actually, honestly, in the beginning, it was the men hunting, but the women were still asked to work and put in their fair share too. They were actually out there gathering and plant gathering is all I got.
Well, yes, they had a lot more tasks than just taking care of the kids, because life was a lot fucking harder and there was a lot more shit that had to be done than just like washing clothes. I shouldn't say just, again, I know taking care of kids is hard. Nobody has to tell me otherwise. Like, it's a hard fucking job, no doubt about it. I'm not saying otherwise, but it was a lot harder 800 years ago when people were like having to build fires and fucking pick berries and all this shit and couldn't go to a grocery store or put clothes in a washer and dryer. I mean, we have worked very hard to make life easier for everybody, right? So it has become easier, as hard as it might still be, right? But yeah, they had to do other stuff. All I'm saying is these roles that got assigned to us, it wasn't a group of people who were in a higher power than another group of people deciding this is going to be the easier way to go. So this is what we're going to assign ourselves. And this is the harder shit. So we're going to assign it to you. Like, people did what made sense at the time. And as time went on and it made less sense, it took time before people realized, oh, you know what? you don't have to have a lot of muscles and be tough and all this shit to like go out and provide for your family. Because a lot of jobs you sit behind a desk or, you know, whatever, you know, it's not quite as physical. And over time, I wasn't around before. Maybe women were physically more capable than people assumed. Maybe it had more to do with the fact that they had the children and the ability to feed the children less than their strength and so forth, right? But I'm just saying, whatever the reasons were that it was decided that men would go out and hunt and women would be with the kids, it was a necessity decision. It was what made most sense to those people at that time.
Right.
And then we just continued on with it until we realized maybe it never made sense. Maybe that's true. I don't know, but it certainly doesn't now. Why are we still following these rules? Why are we limiting what people have the ability to do when there isn't a genuine reason to do that anymore? I think at that time.
I just want to put this in. I have a buddy, and I know we're talking about the worldview, but I have a buddy that has his wife was making more cash than him, so they switched up roles, and he stayed home. He has twins.
Sure.
He has 2 boys, and he stayed home for like the last year and a half, 2 years, take care of the boys, and he loves it. You know, he takes them to the zoo, takes them everywhere, and does all sorts of stuff with them.
Yeah. There's men who stay home and take care of their families. Again, that's my point. Is I think that at some point it became obvious that these roles that we'd assigned to each other for survival reasons weren't necessary anymore. Now, I do believe that for a long period of time after they were no longer necessary, there were people who were like, but this is the way it's always been and we don't want to change it, who fought to keep that from happening. That I 100% believe is true,
and
right?
Even if it's not that, even if it's not like, there's still a stigma to it, you know, just kind of like saying that men that stay home aren't as
I would say even more so than the idea of moms who want to go and work, right? Like we're branded kind of pussies if we don't want to go out and take care of our family like we're supposed to as men. I mean, imagine a scenario, right? Like you said, your friend and his wife decided she makes more money and it made more sense. They decided that together though, right? How many cases do you know of a man where they were both making about the same amount of money? They both wanted to stay home and raise the kids. And the man was like, but I'm going to do it because I really want to do it. You could stay home and take care of the kids. I want you go work. I'm going to say like that would be like, that's never acceptable. You know what I'm saying? Like the only reason it is acceptable even now is it makes more sense for the woman because she's smarter or what, has a better job, whatever. She can make more money. Oh, well, then that makes sense. You go work, I'll stay home and take care of the kids. But even still, even to this day, the idea of a man just saying, look, I don't care who makes more money. I prefer to stay home and take care of the kids. That's not acceptable. People don't like that. Society as a whole does not accept that as okay.
There's going to be shit talked about you from your family, your friends.
Right.
Not just the trolls on the internet, you know?
Well, the idea that your wife wanted to be with her kids and you didn't let her, like that makes you a piece of shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you could work and let your wife stay home and take care of the kids. And instead you made her go to work so you could take care of the kids. What kind of piece of shit are you? Like, why would you take that away from your wife? Why don't men have just as much right to want to be home with their kids? This can be rewarding for us too, to build that relationship and spend all that time with them before they grow up and move out and you don't see them anymore. I would love to have been able to spend all that time taking care of my kids and spending time with them. That would have been great, you know? And to be fair to my wife, it wasn't because she was like, nope, I'm staying home. I mean, we both worked, right? And so she didn't take advantage or anything like that. But I'm just saying, it doesn't feel like that was ever really going to be an option. Like the options were either I work, or either we both work because we need to make enough money to live the lifestyle we want to live, right? Or I make enough money, you don't have to work, right? That would have been okay. She became the master of what she does and could make so much money that it made sense for me to stay home while she worked so she could do all the stuff she needed to do. All that would have been acceptable. But if I had been like, look, I know I can go out and make just as much, maybe a little bit more than you do, but I'd rather stay home and take care of the kids. And you can make enough, right? It's not like we'd be broke if you were working. So you do that so I can do what I want to do, which stay home and take care of the kids. That would have never been like, yeah, even in a very great relationship where it would have been acceptable between that man and that woman, society would have thought it was fucking insane.
Right. I'm like in more of a 1980s acceptable relationship. I go out and I make the money. My wife stays home, takes care of the kid. But the only situation that was a believable possibility that I got to stay home and take care of the kids was that I won the lottery. So that was it. That's what I had. That's my hopes on. That was it.
And I think even in those relationships where it does make so much more sense for the man to stay home and take care of the kids, there's still like it's certainly not as bad as it used to be, but there are plenty of like it's not completely socially accepted at this point. Like they are still often looked down upon. They're looked as less than. They're Mr. Moms and Mannies and like, pussies essentially is the word that nobody's saying that they're thinking. And it's fucking ridiculous. My only point to all of that is I don't think like women got screwed with gender roles and men got this huge fucking break. I mean, like we're the ones who were supposed to go work in the coal mines. You know what I mean? Like we were the ones that were supposed to build the railroad tracks. We were the ones that were supposed to go fight the wars. I mean, even now, right? If a woman wants to go and defend her country, she can. And God bless all of them that choose to. You guys are fucking amazing.
Absolutely.
Right. I think that's fucking fantastic and good on you, right? But nobody's ever going to make them do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have a draft right now. But if we ever got into a situation where we needed one, they would bring it back. They're not going to just be like, we're going to let our country get taken over instead of forcing some people to go and fight. They'll bring the draft back. They'll draft people. They'll send them over there to fight just like they always fucking have. And they're not going to draft women. Like, it's not going to happen unless some massive fucking change in our culture happens. That's never going to fucking happen. And I'm just saying, I don't see any women with signs anywhere saying, how fucked up is it that we can't get drafted? You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's complaining about that. Women, I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule, but I've never seen the movie or heard the story about the ship going down and the wife being like, you're a better parent than I am. Get on the boat, take care of the kids. I'll make the sacrifice. That doesn't happen either. You know what I mean? Every woman is gladly lining up to get on that fucking boat. You know what I'm saying? And there's like 18, 19-year-old men who go down with the ship so 50, 60-year-old women can get on a fucking boat. Where's the fucking, I mean, how's that fair?
That does not sound fair to me.
It seems crazy, right? I mean, look, even knowing that it's technically there shouldn't be any difference between men and women. If it's me or another woman my age, I'm giving her the boat. Like, I know I'm going to do that. I'm not going to argue with them, but I don't know. It just seems crazy and nobody seems to be upset about it. And that's just my point. My point is, I think we got screwed with gender roles just like everybody else did, right? I don't think we got off easy by being the ones who had to go to work and had to be one, for up until real recently, like 99.9999% of men were 100% responsible for the entire financial burden of the family. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Whether you guys lived, went hungry or ate good, whether you had a roof over your head, clothes on your back, whether your kids had enough money to go to school, see a doctor, like all that shit was on our backs. You think that's a fun responsibility to have? It's not. Like, fuck, the second my wife was ready to take over the bills, I gladly gave that shit to her. Are you kidding me? Do that shit. I don't want that fucking responsibility if I ain't gotta have it. Are you kidding me? I sleep so much better now that I don't have to do that shit. You know what I mean? Like, if I want something really expensive, I say, hey, when we can afford it, let's buy this shit. There you go.
And done.
I'm happy. Yeah, it's not a fun responsibility. I mean, if you're rich, it might be great to be the one who gets to decide where all the money is spent. But that's the thing, like a very small percentage of people are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like we're not
yeah.
talking about the majority of people that are living these great lives where they have these fantastic jobs and all this money to decide what it gets spent on. That's not the majority of people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a very small percentage of people, in fact. And if you go outside the United States, I mean, it's extremely small percentage. I mean, if you look worldwide, I read some statistics, it's like less than 10% of people that like have money in the bank, a roof over their house, clothes on their backs, food in their pantry. You know what I mean? Like most of the world ain't living like that.
You know what? There's it's this. It's not statistic. It's like something you're supposed to have. One of the things you're supposed to have is enough savings in the bank for 1 year of your pay. That's supposed to be how much savings you're supposed to have in the.
Yeah, I mean, 1 year is good to have. They tell you not to start like investing and doing other shit with your money until you have at least 3 months.
3 months. That's nice, but man, I'm honestly 2 weeks. If I have 2 weeks, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, yeah, up and until relatively recently, I would say we didn't have 3 months. We have a lot of stuff like insurance that pays like if we're not working because we're hurt. We have life insurance. We have health insurance, of course.
The only thing that
There's
saves me is the 401k. My 401k, I have cash in my 401k, and yes, if I liquidate it, if I lose my job and liquidate it, yes, I have a year's worth of income. It's not what you're supposed to do, and that's not what they mean by have at least a year's worth of
I
income. They
wasn't even
don't
thinking
have
about
cash for
401k.
retirement.
Even like based on the amount of money, like all the money I make before taxes, I have a little over 2 years in my 401k. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's good. But yeah, I mean,
Man, you're doing pretty good.
that's
I
within
got.
like the last few years that we started, and a lot of that shit. I mean, COVID. God, I always hate to say this shit. I feel bad. I mean, it's not like I did it, but like when I started working from home, which made me work more hours, spend less money, right? And then like my work gave us a couple of bonuses for how hard we had to work during COVID. The government gave us like 3 checks that I didn't fucking need. And if I thought they would have put it back in the bank so that we'd go less into debt if I didn't accept it, but they're not gonna do that. So I took the money. But all of that shit, that certainly helped put to where we have a big cushion in our account. And we've always been lucky, like between our tax return and I get a year-end bonus. So we've always kind of been like, for like a 4 or 5 month period, we have a pretty good cushion, and we kind of, go on vacation. We do some things that we normally wouldn't do because we don't have a lot of money in the bank, and then we would go like 3 or 4 months, 5 months, where we were living more paycheck to paycheck and plenty of money from paycheck to paycheck, but not a bunch of extra. And mind you, we're spending money on shit we don't have to, so we could cut back if we needed to. But yeah, and then and then we'd get those checks again and be back. But now, because of all that other shit, like we actually have enough money that even with the little extra money that we spend, we still always have like a decent amount of money in savings until that shit happens again, and we get the the piggy bank gets filled back up again, so to speak. So but it wasn't that long ago where we would have several months where we didn't have 3 months in the bank for sure. So I don't think most people don't. I mean, that's the truth of it, is that used to be a pretty standard thing. A lot of people used to have tons of savings. It used to not be unusual at all, and now everybody just has debt.
Well, that's what I think. I think it's the not necessarily the invention of it, but the complete overusage and overpopulation of credit cards. Like now you don't need to have that that savings because you have your $3,000 limit credit card, so that's your next week or something, you know?
That does help. I mean, I think that did play a big part in it. I don't think it's one thing. Like, I think that didn't help. I think we've invented, I mean, 50, 60 years ago, the amount of shit that you were expected to have in order to be like considered success, a nice house, a nice car, maybe a vacation home, like a boat. You know what I mean? But now there's like, go on Amazon, there's 80 billion things you're supposed to buy. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we've like just come up with I'm not sure the guy that owns Amazon could buy one of everything on Amazon, and he's got more money than God. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much shit to spend your money on now.
Yeah, and I think that's the commercials and TV and all that crap tell you that this is all the stuff that you need to make yourself happy. That you need all this stuff. That you need the IKEA freaking desk and entertainment center.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I also think it's not even a matter of like you have to have all this stuff. It's so much shit that there's a decent amount of it that everybody wants. You know what I mean? Like, what is your heart desire? Somebody's making it. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You could.
I think it's we should be heading more towards a simplistic lifestyle, man.
Sure.
I think they sell you all these gadgets and little doodads and different types of furniture and different type everything. It wasn't. I didn't have that when I grew up okay.
Sure.
I lived just fine.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously don't need all the shit that we buy to survive. I mean, they are, they're good at.
Like, now it's not just like, hey, I get a set of headphones. No, you have to have the Dre Beats or the Sonos or I even have a pair of the other
Yeah,
ones.
I mean, I think that's part of it, but I mean, just the fact that there are wireless headphones, which do make your life extremely convenient, right? And then there's some kind of, you have the Amazon dot, the thing that shit it makes life a lot fucking easier. And then you got the light bulbs that you can buy that, you can just voice actively turn off and on. It doesn't matter if you buy the most. That's what I'm saying is, yeah, I think there are people that certainly get caught up in the like, I got to have the nicest, most fanciest shit, and that hurts, right? But even if you don't have to have the nicest, fanciest shit, there's tons of the shit where it's like the cheap model that it's still like so many of those things that make life so much easier that you can still go broke buying the barrel bottom shit. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what price range you're shopping in. They have products that you can afford, that you can go and buy and spend all your money on. And it is going to make your life easier. Maybe not like, is it a necessity? No, but that's the beauty of it, is it's easy to convince yourself to get it because, a Fitbit, it's good for you, right?
Yeah,
so do you need to have one? No, you can weigh yourself and check your own heartbeat, but boy, that shit makes it awfully fucking convenient, and it makes it easier. And it probably even, like, you probably do a better job of keeping track of all that shit when you have something that works that well. You know what I mean? And it's really, as a marketing strategy, we've gotten really good at making people really feel like, maybe I don't need this shit, but there's I have a really good, I can feel good about buying it, even if maybe I shouldn't be spending the money on it. You see what I mean? Like, it's not just worthless shit anymore. It's not just like jewelry that, people used to love to spend money on jewelry. I'm sure they still do, but like, a necklace doesn't do anything for you. It just looks good. You know what I mean? But like a smartwatch or a smartphone or, and I'm just saying technology shit, but there's all kinds of shit that it's like, oh, that's really going to make my life better. So it's okay to spend this money, even though I could save it and that would make my life better too. Right. But this thing's going to make my life better right now. And saving the money is something I'm only going to need if something bad happens or when I retire. And that's fucking not right now, We're really good at getting with getting people to spend money, but even that I think is still only part of it. I mean, some people have, you know, the ability to just, not spend money that they don't need to spend. But then it's like, I mean, it's all you have to you have to have a job that pays good, which is harder and harder to fucking get now, right? You gotta, not get yourself into debt with your credit card, which is easy to fucking do now. You gotta
Easy to do. Yeah,
not
absolutely.
let yourself go crazy buying all these great fucking things that would actually be good for you, but that you don't have the money to spend. I mean, there's just all these fucking things now that makes it really fucking hard for anybody to really have
Yeah,
a
you know
good
what's
chance
funny?
of putting money in the bank.
I actually, um, the fact that I have pretty good credit now is a product of having super bad credit when I was younger because I got credit cards in the college credit card scam that they have where, like when you're enrolling in college, they have all these, they'll have like your class books, your class schedule, signing up for classes. And then next door, you'll have like 4 different credit cards that you can apply for and get because they include your educational funds as your income. So it's very easy to get credit
Oh,
cards.
it's not even. Yeah, I mean, I think back when we were younger. I mean, the amount of credit that they give you has very little to do with how much money you make and how much money you can actually pay back. I mean,
Yeah,
the
absolutely. But
yeah,
what's funny is that I credit having good credit now with signing up for that one credit card. I think it was like it, I still remember the name. It was the Bank of Kentucky that gave me a credit card with like a $500 limit Visa. And I tried to keep it for about a year, but I completely blew it out. And then from like age 18 to like 34, I just had terrible credit from that on. But it was only because I was only in debt about $500 to $600, where other people went on and got better credit cards and better credit cards and have credit debt of like 5,500 of $10,000.
you just
I
that's just credit card debt. You didn't have any other kind of debt,
uh, no, not really.
student
I had a
loan, right?
car. I did
You
have a car at one point that was about
student
10
loan
grand,
debt.
but I paid it off.
Do you have student loans?
Aha, not anymore, baby.
Good.
It
That's good.
took me 25 years to pay them
That's
off.
awesome. That's
No,
not
no.
that's not that long compared to other people. So good for you. What about like did
I
you
think it
do
was
any
about
of the,
almost 14 years to pay them off.
that's not bad. What
Yeah.
about did you do any of the like rent to own?
I did do rent to own, but I cleared out. I cleared it out.
Paid it off. Good.
That's a terrible scam too,
Yeah, yeah.
bastard.
I
Train.
did kind of the same thing as you. I didn't first credit card I got and it only maxed out like $200 and I maxed it out and didn't pay it. It didn't ruin my credit. I mean, it hurt it, but it didn't ruin my credit. But I didn't go and get another credit card not because I couldn't, but because I was like, if that had like a 20,000 limit on it, I'd have been screwed. I just thought it just taught me the lesson that like
No,
I want
no.
to hold on. I always want to hold on to my money, right? And so if I already have the thing, I'm not like, why would I give you money? I have it. I don't, like if it's like I'm a same time motherfucker kind of guy. Because if you've already given me the shit, why am I gonna? And I don't mean like obviously I don't do that to like friends and family and shit. But like if I bought something at the store and I have the shit, like I don't need to pay you anymore. I have it. Like you know what I mean? Like why am I giving you money now? And I realized that with that credit card, that was like because I mean, it's $200. I could have paid the shit back like really easily, and was like, well, I can keep it, like.
Yeah.
So
No,
I was like, credit is not a good
uh,
idea for me. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, I'm gonna run up debt and not pay people because I already have the shit, and like, so
yeah,
I didn't get a credit card. Even when me and Mickey got married, she had credit cards that we would use in her name, and it wasn't for years until then we got some in my name as well, which ended up being a good thing because now using them and paying them and other, paying off other shit and so forth. I actually have amazing fucking credit now. And I've never had amazing credit. I've only for a short period of time to have really bad credit when my dad passed away. The next job I had, I was making less than 20% of what I was making before. And so that was tough for a while. And I had to kind of work my way back up, and I'm still not making as much money as I was making then, but I'm making not fake money anymore. Like, I don't know what you'd call what I was making before. It's not kind of money anybody can fucking live on or anything. Luckily Mickey works too, so it was fine. But
no, I was in I got my Kontiki credit card, and I got an Eddie Bauer credit card. Man. I scored Eddie Bauer for a good year and a half. Like,
I can't imagine there's any good reason to have an Eddie Bauer credit card. Like, no legitimate reason for that.
And I just walked into the Eddie Bauer, and I was buying. I think I was buying a pair of jeans.
It's like having an All Stars credit card or some shit. Like,
and they said, "Why don't you just give it a shot?" And I said, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." And they said yes for like $400. I said, "Well, then I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna go back and get some more clothes."
Yeah, that was the other thing too. That $200 limit. Not only did I max out, I mean, it only took me like a week and a half. I mean, it's $200. It's not like I had more cash that I could have spent than $200 at the time I got the card.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. But I think I think it was a good thing. Like, I after that, when I wanted something, I made money and I bought it, and so I didn't get into debt because I didn't buy anything unless I could afford it. The only shit that for years, like, car, because I didn't have enough money to pay cash for a brand new car, and my house, I didn't make enough money to buy a house outright, and I didn't want to wait. The car would have taken me 5 years, and that's just, when you have a car payment, you make it, but like, I would have had to have been putting money I technically didn't have to put away every month for 5 years to buy the car. That shit probably wouldn't have happened. But like, I got my first place. I bought thousands of dollars worth of furniture, with cash. I mean, I probably wrote a check, but I mean, it was money I had, and all, my TVs and all this shit. And none of my friends did that. All my friends just went out, like, they got a place and either used credit cards or went to fucking rent to own places and like got all the nicest, baddest shit. And that shit used to piss me off to no fucking end, because I mean, I started working when I was 12. I started my own business when I was 19. I was making really good money by the time I was like 22. And at like 24, 25 years old, I'm going to like friends' apartments, and I'm like, I make more money than you do, and I've been doing it for longer. Why do you have all this shit? Like, what am I doing wrong? This is not cool. Why I look like I'm fucking poor? And I know that, like, what the fuck? It used to piss me off so much. But not that I wanted to see anything bad happen to any of those people, but like I said, my dad died. I went through a really hard time financially. Had I lived like that, I would have lost everything, and I didn't lose anything. I'm a
cash poor person. Like, I buy my TV because I have enough cash to buy a TV. I buy a couch because I have enough cash to buy a couch. I am not a credit person. I don't like owing people for shit. I don't like paying more than what's on the price tag.
Yeah.
If it's a $500 couch, I want to pay $500, not rent to own, and you're paying $1,500 for a $500 couch.
I do. We do take advantage of like interest-free shit, but you have to be on your fucking game. I wouldn't do that if it wasn't for my wife, because you fuck up and all of a sudden you're paying all that interest. Like, you have to like make your minimum payments. You have to pay it off in time. You fuck any of that shit up, and you're going to be paying 3-4 times as much for that shit as you would have.
Do it once, man. You fuck up one time. I am bad about remembering payments.
That's what I said, Mickey. My wife took over the fucking bills, and I'm a happy man for it. She does that shit. It's fun. Like, that's why I think one of the reasons we do so well together is I am like I'm not going to give anybody my money unless they're kicking me out of my house. You know what I mean? Like I when I was responsible for my shit, I paid shit late all the fucking time because like until they were like, we're about to cut off your electricity or repossess your, and I'd be like, oh, okay, here you go. I mean, I'd had the money the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I want to keep it. It's mine. Like I want to give any of that shit away if I don't have to. You know, Mickey, my wife,
can kick it on time to save my life. Literally,
my wife will spend grocery money to pay shit off sooner than we need to pay. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? Was it past? Like, no, but I figured we would just pay it off. But now we don't have any money. Like, we didn't have to pay it. Now we're broke. Like, what? You know, so we balance each other out pretty well because she wants to pay everything off. Like as soon as we are physically capable of doing it, right? I don't want to give anybody any of our money ever. So somewhere in the middle, we like pay our bills and get by. It works out well.
All right, man. We got sidetracked and bamboozled. We need to bring this train back around.
You know, who cares? It's a good topic.
That's true. That's true. You know what though? I was looking at that. There's like this flow chart or some kind of chart on that I pulled up about men's rights.
Oh, okay.
Activism. Misandry. It's like, I guess, the opposite of misogyny.
Oh, okay. All right.
Misandry is what it's called. Yeah. And let's see, what is it? Misandry is the hatred of, contempt for, or prejudice against men or boys in general. Misandry may be manifested in numerous ways, including social exclusion, sexism, hostility, gynocentrism. I got nothing.
That's the thing.
Yeah, mockery, belittling of men, violence against men, and sexual objectification. Now, I'm okay with that right there.
Well, see, that's a thing. I think that's where a lot of this comes into play is that we don't complain about a lot of it. No, right? Like we're taught that we're not supposed to. I mean, like I'm with you too. I'm not really all that worried about being sexually anything. You know what I mean? Like I'm either going to do it because I want to, or very few people are going to make me do it. Right? So I'm fine. You know what I mean? But
so in my current state, I'd be concerned about the sexual innuendos that are the websites of the people that would be on the list of people to sexually objectification of me at this point, because it'd be one of those like syrup dripping sex pages that I'm a little uncomfortable with being on.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm in a well-fed state at this point. And so I believe that.
Oh, you're saying you don't feel like you're going to be one of the guys that gets objectified. Is that what you're saying?
Or if I am, it's by a group of people that I don't want. I definitely don't want. I
don't want to be in a club that would have me as a member, kind of a deal.
That's what I'm saying. Or be praising my current condition. It's those things late at night where you get in the wrong page and all of a sudden there's a big girl eating like a sandwich and this little skinny guy in the back going,
Yeah. See, I think here's the thing that I'm still always kind of like on the fence about, right? Whereas when it comes to sexual harassment in the workplace, we talked about this a little bit last week, like how I'm torn between this idea like that it's starting to get to this place where it's like, you know, even if a woman doesn't say anything, you should be trying to like constantly think about like, are there any signs that this isn't consensual? And the workplace is a lot more difficult, right? But even not in the workplace, like the one that I've talked about a lot that drives me crazy is that little the guy from Parks and Rec, the comedian. He's got a weird name.
Yeah. I love that guy too.
He's great. And he seems like the sweetest little guy too. And he got me too because some girl came over They went on a date and went back to his place and had sex. And then the next day she was like, I didn't say no or give, you know, or like push him away or anything, but he should have just known that I didn't really want to do it, you know? And it was like, really? Like, we really to the point where you don't even have the responsibility of having to at least say, I don't want to do this, or push somebody away, or say no, give some outward indication that you're not into something with that before it's wrong for the person. You know what I mean? Like,
help a brother out.
Exactly. And I think part of that is, like, one of the reasons why I know, like, I'm never going to be sexually harassed in a workplace is because if I didn't want to do it, I would just say, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And I might get fired for that. Like, I recognize I could lose my job, and maybe I'd try to sue him because that wasn't fair. And maybe I'd have to just go find another job, and that would suck. But like, if I didn't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. And we've gotten to this place where it's like, well, you know, because there could be repercussions for saying no, somebody shouldn't have to say no. And it's like, I kind of feel like even if there is going to be repercussions, you still have to like be a big person, like be a grown up and say, I don't want to do this. And there's
the responsibility, you know?
Right. And if there are repercussions, then we should try to do something about that, because that's not okay. Like, you should get a lawyer, you should sue. So maybe it's going to work out, maybe it's not, because life's not always fair, right? I mean, shit doesn't always work out the way it's supposed to every time. But how do we move on in society where people can't like make a good-hearted effort to, you know, to do, you know, and it's like, I didn't even know there was a problem. You know what I mean? Like,
see, it's also okay. And this is the big thing too. You don't ask to sleep with somebody at the office. He was on a date. You know, that's kind of where things have a possibility of going, you know?
Right. I've started to come around to the office idea. Even that used to bother me because, again, if you look at statistics, a lot of people meet at work. It's not an uncommon place for people to meet and fall in love with the person that they spend the rest of their lives with, right? These are very consensual, happy relationships. And we're essentially saying that's not going to be acceptable anymore because we can't know for sure that that's what's happening, right? And part of my brain gets that. Like, part of my brain understands that, like, some people just financially might not be in a place where they feel like, even though they don't want to do it, that they can say they don't want to do it. And that's really fucked up. But like, part of me says, like, as a grown up, like, when you don't want to do something, you make that shit known, and then you deal with the consequences of that. Even if there are consequences, even if they're not fair, part of being a grown up is you take responsibility for what you do and you don't want to fucking do. You know what I mean? Yep. And would it be nice if things always worked out the way they should work out? Yeah, that'd be fucking great. But that's not life. We know that's not life. Sometimes you do the right thing, and doing the right thing costs you. You know what I mean? Like, that's life. And
then on the other end of this whole deal, I have a buddy who was in a supervision position and was having not an affair, I guess, was dating or seeing somebody who was in a lower position. He actually got let go. He got fired because of this whole situation.
Yeah.
They continued their relationship, had a child, and are still together.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's costs to what it is. Like, I think people, that's kind of something that I've like a bigger picture that I've been trying to like kind of speak on in all of these conversations, is this like woke utopia that everybody's talking about. There's consequences to that too, that people are just kind of pretending don't exist. Like if nobody's allowed to date in offices so that there can't ever be the possibility of sexual harassment, there's going to be a lot of people that don't meet each other and have real relationships, right? I don't know. Maybe
relationship, you know?
Right. Maybe that is worth sacrificing for I don't know, but nobody's even
in common. It's, you know, you've gone in the same kind of profession.
Right.
You're interested in the same thing, you know?
Right. And I'm saying maybe that is something that's worth sacrificing for the other thing not to happen, but we should at least be acknowledging the fact that a lot of these woke ideas have consequences. I mean, this idea that you get to always have a safe space all the time and never have to experience anything that you don't enjoy or that you don't like. I mean, in order for that to happen, a lot of times somebody else is going to have to give up something they like or experience something that they don't like, because what you need to always feel safe isn't going to be what everybody else needs to feel safe all the time. That's the complication of living in society, right? There's millions of people and we don't all feel the same way about everything. And so we've kind of always accepted the fact that we've like created these social rules, and you might not like them all because nobody does, right? Nobody likes them all, right?
Yeah.
But what other choice is there? Because no matter what those rules are, not everybody's not going to like them all, like except maybe one person who gets to make the rules. You know what I mean? Like that's always going to be the case. And so what is it that we're giving up with, all these privacy rules that that we're giving up? People think that's a great thing because you get to know about everything about everybody else, but it also means everybody gets to know everything about you. And up and until relatively recently in life, that didn't used to be the case. You used to be able to have secrets. You used to be able to make mistakes and learn from them and move on. And maybe sometimes it meant having to move to another job or another city or something, but you could grow and become a better person and it not haunt you for the rest of your life. We're losing, that's something that we really want to lose. I mean, some people don't change and that's not good, but like some people do. So, some people learn from their mistakes, and not all of them are life-ending mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about you kill somebody and you move to another state so you can become somebody who doesn't kill people anymore. You know what I mean? But like, you can make a dumbass mistake and say some horrible shit where nobody really gets hurt, right? And you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and you can't do that anymore. We're giving up a lot of things, and nobody seems to really be talking about what it is that these new ultra fucking the standards that we're starting to move towards expecting people to live up to, I mean, are getting to the point that like our standard, like human beings aren't perfect. You know what I mean? Like that's something else that we've accepted for a long period of time. We fuck up. Like that's going to soon not be able to be okay anymore. I mean, you just can't make any mistakes anymore. And it's not like mistakes that everybody knows about, because everybody is going to know about it now. You know what I mean? Like forever. It's getting a little crazy. We're giving up a lot of shit. And
absolutely, there was this and it's a stupid movie, but it had an interesting concept about it. Was that it was the older generation that is us that think that that you should keep privacy private, and then there was the younger generation,
the Ring,
high schools, and they were like, you know what, we're gonna live everything in the open. Everything's out in the
Ring.
open. What is it?
The Ring.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it was about like either Apple or Amazon, but they called it.
That's a different one. That's a different one.
Oh,
no,
okay.
This is like, I'm telling you, this is a dumb movie. This is just.
Well, I thought The Ring was pretty dumb. It was basically the same idea, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, this is like a bunch of teenage girls that basically like let everyone's secrets from their town out into the internet, like everyone, and they're the and one of the big things that comes out of it is that the concept of privacy is extinct. So the actual it's no longer there anymore. Everything is public knowledge, and it's true. I mean, it's absolutely true. Everything that you know, everything that you like, everything that you want to see, it's already out there. People know there's uh, algorithms that can actually form every decision that you're gonna make. They'll know you're gonna make it.
Yeah, it's not that accurate, but yeah, I mean, there are ones trying to predict what you will do, but honestly, most of it is about trying to predict what you're going to want to buy and what you'll spend money on right now. But they are working on predictive stuff. I mean, the thing is that stuff's never going to be.
Well, that's what it's driven
accurate.
By capitalism, obviously, right now. But just the fact that the algorithms are out there, they can be used different ways.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's true.
And it's like
Yeah,
crazy stuff. Like they know, or there's ones that I've watched. It was for a dating site that it talked about the algorithms behind the dating site. And that it would the algorithms would like show when you were more likely to uh be on the site, when you're more likely to actually choose dates than not choose dates, and what type of, I mean, obviously the what type of dates and who you are and what all that was already a given, but just to the point of like, oh, you're gonna scroll at nighttime around 11 to 1 and you're more likely to make bad decisions at this point, we're gonna feed you this information at 11 to 1, you know.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that one's less scary to me. I mean, I think when it really starts getting scary is like, you know, I mean, the idea would be, moving towards like, we're predicting you're going to do this, so we need to, you can't do this because we're afraid if we let you do this, we're not going to let you travel because, our predictive software says that, you're going to do something bad if you travel overseas. We're not going to let you blah, 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 blah. I mean, obviously that could lead to, we're going to arrest you now before you do this thing that we
Yeah,
think you're
what was that?
98% likely to do. What?
Minority Report. I love that movie.
Yeah. Right. Right. That was different. I mean, kind of that, right? The idea behind Minority Report was they had those people that could actually see what you were going to do. Right?
Yeah, so, yeah, it's the same idea, just not.
Not really, because not that I think what they were doing there was okay, but the chances of them making a mistake, like they had to they had to like misinterpret what they were actually seeing, right? Whereas what you're talking about is a computer just saying, you're statistically very likely to do this, right? That's not the same thing as somebody seeing you do something in the future, right? And we've determined that everything these people see that happen in the future does in fact happen.
The idea of being arrested for
something you haven't done is the same idea. Yeah. But I would say yes, that is the same. You're not wrong about that. But I think as fucked up is the idea that we're just going to assume somebody seeing the future is right every time. I think that seems to even be more legitimate than the idea that like you're just statistically very likely to do this. You know what I mean? Like that's not like we know you're going to do this in the future, right? Like there's a difference between going back to before Hitler started doing his shit and killing him because you know what Hitler's going to do, right? Because you're from the future and you know that shit's going to happen, right? And being alive before all that shit happened and doing some math and being like, statistically, this dude's very likely, you know what I mean, to be a bad dude. That's a step worse, I think, than the other thing. You know what I'm saying?
This little corporal that likes to paint is really going to cause some trouble in the future.
Oh man, you know what? Just really, I don't want to get way off on this, but y'all should check out that there's a shit that just came out on Netflix, How to Be a Tyrant. That shit is pretty awesome. Like it is like literally the playbook for all successful dictators and tyrants throughout history. Like all the things that they do step by step that gets them into power, helps them keep power, and so forth.
You know, that's great and all. What I watched was America the Movie. Have you seen that one yet? It's like an anime.
The cartoon thing? No.
Yeah, it's an anime of the American Revolution, but it's like crazy, no historical value whatsoever. Like the beginning of the revolution is because Abraham Lincoln is killed by
Abraham Lincoln wasn't part of the revolution.
You see how you're following right here? Okay. So
that's American Revolution happened way before Abraham Lincoln was around, right?
That's right. He's killed by Benedict Arnold in front of George Washington, which causes him to begin the revolution. And he gathers with him Samuel Adams, who's like a beard-hugging frat boy.
How old would Abraham Lincoln even been during the Revolutionary? I mean, that was like a decent amount of time between the Revolutionary War and the Civil War, right?
or 15th president.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
Even if they were only
times
one-term
4 years,
presidents, you're talking like 60-year difference or something.
absolutely. You're now catching on.
Yeah.
And like, let's see, what's the other one?
So you're saying that Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter, was a more accurate movie?
Oh, in Benedict Arnold actually becomes a werewolf at some point too. So there you go. Man, it was awesome. It was a great movie. I loved it.
I gotta say again, just
Edison. Thomas Edison was a Asian female.
one of the things that was extremely notable about this tyrant was how somebody of recent statute seemed to not successfully be trying to do a lot of the stuffs in the tyrant playbook.
Does game rhyme with Ronald Trump?
Something like that. Yeah, and it was like you could, I mean, like literally almost everything in it. You're like, oh wow, he did do that, just poorly. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's what he was doing. He just picked really stupid people instead of smart people to help him do that. You know,
whatever he did, I think Bush did it better 8 years before.
Bush, I could see it. If you watch the movie, I could see one or two of the like 10 or 12 things in the playbook that you have to do to become a tyrant. But I mean, he didn't. I mean, not to the man. I mean, just some of the. So he like he did some of the like bringing in his own people into high positions, but he didn't like go and like fire every single person that disagreed with him and replace them with somebody else. You know what I mean? And like, he didn't like he wasn't a big fan of the media because they made him look like an idiot all the time, but he also wasn't like banning them from the premises and like calling them fake news and like trying to do everything he possibly could to discredit the idea of public, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't quite as bad. He did like change some of the laws so that he could do some of the shit that he wanted to do. There was some of that for sure. We tortured people for the first time in a really long time when he was president,
Oh.
What?
What do you mean? Who? George or Trump?
Bush, yeah.
Okay. I was about to say that we've been torturing people for quite a while.
I'm talking about W the whole time. I'm saying you're right that he did a little bit of that stuff. Trump tried hard to do a lot of that stuff, a lot of the stuff that's in the playbook. He just didn't do a very good job of it. If he had done a good job at a lot of the shit that he did, like he would have gotten reelected, and I think in 4 years he probably wouldn't have left off it. You know what I mean? Like
it was not that big of a landslide or anything. There was a large possibility that man almost got reelected.
Right.
So,
but if you
most people that have ever voted for a president is for the guy who won, but the second most is for Donald Trump.
Yeah. There is also an argument that as time passes, more and more people are voting because there's more and more people to vote. But no, I mean, there was a big turnout for that election, and a lot of people voted for him. But if he had done these steps better that they're talking about, like it wouldn't have mattered. That's the whole, it wouldn't have mattered whether he won or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like the idea is you just get all the important people on your side and things go the way you want them to go, whether they do or not. You know what I mean? That's the joy of being a tyrant is people don't really have to like you. They just have to pretend to like you because they don't.
I don't know what movie that was, but they even show it like as soon as this one guy gets the lead, they close the polls and like literally like the armed forces go to the polls and shut them down, and like that's it. This person won.
I mean, a lot of places they just don't even. I mean, elections don't exist, right? Once they get into power, they just stop doing that stuff. If they were doing it, in a lot of places,
or the army is dispatched to make sure that the voters are safe.
Right. If there's even voter, but that's what I'm saying. Like when Hitler was in power, there wasn't any elections that he had to win. You know what I mean? Like when
That
Mussolini
guy
was
in
in
Russia,
power.
man, he's been winning every vote, for as long as I
Yes,
can remember.
yes, that's true. But like when Mussolini was in power, um, that wasn't an issue. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of places where that's not how the person in charge gets put in charge, right? A lot of times they just it just gets the person who's in charge passes on, the position to whoever they want to,
Is that North Korea or whatever? Is it South Korea or North Korea? North Korea.
North Korea.
Yeah.
That's a family thing.
Kim Jong-un.
You know that started from the Korean War.
Yeah, yeah. I've been wanting to see it. I have not seen it, but Netflix has it special.
They give them a lot of credit
Yeah.
because they're the only ones who have. I mean, most tyrants eventually people just get so tired of them, right? And it's really hard when you're. I mean, it's not like you're the tyrant of like 200 people. You're the tyrant of millions of people, right? And so it's hard to keep an eye on all of them all the time. It's hard to have forces big enough to control everybody at once if they just decide, fuck it, where some of us are gonna die, but we ain't doing this shit anymore, And so eventually people just fucking, either
Yeah.
sometimes often
I've
we
seen,
help. Often we do something that makes it easier, but not always.
I've seen a Bug's Life. That's the way that goes. The grasshoppers, they get taken
So,
over.
but in North Korea, they said essentially they said that's the last and most important play in the playbook is becoming a nuclear power, because then people leave you alone. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I mean, the show is, I don't know. I mean, it's not like some, I don't know how to say it. It's not like the Smithsonian did it or something. You know what I mean? Like it takes some leaps in some areas as to whether something would work or blah 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 blah. I doubt that Jong-uns will be in power forever. I mean, fucking the Korean War was not that fucking long ago. You know what I mean? They've been ruling for like, I don't know, 80 years or some shit at this point.
Like that.
There's only been 3 of them. And at some point they are going to do some shit. I mean, like, we don't fuck with them because they may have nuclear weapons that can reach the United States. But if they do, they have like 2 or 3 of them, which is some scary shit, right? But if they actually shot a nuclear weapon at us, North Korea is like like we could destroy them with one of our 80 million fucking nuclear weapons that we have.
But we can't do that because we're the bigger world power. So then if we kill a whole bunch of innocents,
it doesn't matter. I guarantee it doesn't. We're not going to do that proactively, but I promise you, if any country fires a nuclear weapon at us, they are going to destroy that country.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Period. Point blank.
But it's scary though, because it's the same bullshit that was happening with Hitler at the time. The United States and a lot of other countries kept saying, "Okay, Hitler, you've gotten a little bit out of your zone and you've kind of taken over Sweden. So you think you could slow down and maybe think about what you're doing? And if not, we'll possibly take some kind of action. We're really against what you're doing." And then they take over Sweden and they're, okay, you got Sweden now. So you really think about, now they're moving into France. Okay, Hitler, can we talk about what you're doing now? I mean, if we would have acted, if the countries would have acted a lot sooner, it could have saved a lot of people's lives and countries rebuilding. I mean, oh.
Yeah, we weren't. That's the thing. We weren't gonna like disagree with a little bit of that. I don't think it was so much as us hoping he would get it, his like stop wanting to conquer the fucking world as much as it was we were hoping somebody else was going to stop him from doing it, right? And as he slowly started taking over more and more of the world, and it became less and less possible that there were forces still left that on their own were going to be able to stop him, and it became clear that this was going to be what do you call that? Fire
Sale?
sale,
No.
a bum rush, something about a rush.
Shitstorm?
There's something where it's like somebody gets to a point where it's like, oh, this is like nothing's going to stop them, like they're going to just keep rolling over everything. And and because fuck, what was his name? He was a good president too. I liked him. Roosevelt, not Roosevelt. Who was
the guy who dropped the bomb?
No,
I like
the guy
that
dropped
guy.
the bomb. That was decades later. That was Vietnam, right?
No. Come on, it's the same war, baby.
We didn't have nuclear weapons in World War II. That's the Nazis.
Oh yeah, you're right. Wait, no, we did. That's how we ended the end of World War II was the nuclear bomb. Oh, don't make you look stupid in front of all these three people.
Look it up.
Look it up. It's World War II. It ended up with us bombing Japan. We bombed Japan. Japan was in line with Hitler. You can shake your head. This is history, baby. Go ahead, look it up. I can't believe you don't know this. I want to, you owe me a milkshake or something.
Okay.
A fillet of fish. When did you think we dropped the bomb? In Vietnam? You thought we dropped the bomb in Vietnam? This must have been one of those classes you were taking in that great school in Houston. Where were you? Near Houston.
You're right.
That's right. Say it again. Say it again for the cheap seats.
Harry Truman. Truman was was president during World War II. That's what
At the end of it.
That's what was really throwing me. I didn't think he was president until much later. I knew it was. I couldn't think of the name, but I knew it was Truman. I didn't think he was president during World War II. That's what was really throwing me.
Yeah, because it was Kennedy. Then Kennedy was shot, and Johnson was in there.
Kennedy was president. Was president during World War II. That's not.
Oh
right.
no, not wrong. Now I went to Vietnam. I apologize. So Truman was in office. Roosevelt was in office most of the time during World War II, and he got sick, and I guess he must have died. I don't know if he died.
Yeah, I guess that. Plus, I don't. Yeah, because we were fine. Yeah, because I mean that's not how we defeated the Nazis. I guess that's the other thing that I always think about with World War II is defeating the Nazis, but not the other side of
Japanese.
Right.
Yeah, it was the.
I always forget that the Japanese were part of World War II as well.
Yeah, it was the axis of powers.
Yeah.
It was us versus the axis of powers.
Yeah.
And the axis of powers, I believe, were Germany, Italy, and Japan. I might be missing someone in there also. There may be some other people in there too. But the big ones were Germany, Italy, and Japan.
Yeah.
And we bombed the shit out of Japan.
Now, I knew it was Japan. I knew it was Hiroshima. So, yeah, I mean, that's obviously not Vietnam. But I really thought Truman came around like
time that you were wrong and that I was right. You know?
For what it's worth, in our relationship, you are definitely the one that has a harder time admitting when you're wrong than I am.
No. It's already been twice in this episode.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
And I admit it when I do. You're the one who never gives up and has to and argues ridiculous, impossible arguments to not have to admit the fact that you're wrong about something. Is my point. I've never have a problem admitting it when I actually think I am wrong. I don't often think that
at all. That does not sound like me at all.
It's very rarely that somebody convinces me that I am wrong. But if it's pointed out to me, I do not have a problem admitting it. What year was Truman? Hold on. I really thought Truman was like way further on. Like I thought I thought it was Kennedy. Then I thought, well, not then Truman, because obviously, the fucking vice president took over when he was assassinated, but I thought he came after Kennedy, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, nope. Truman came after Roosevelt.
Roosevelt is who I was originally thinking about. Roosevelt didn't want to go to war, and that's why we didn't go forever. He was trying to avoid having to get into the fight, and
Roosevelt's our only 3-term president. And one of the reasons he's our 3-term president was because we were at war at the time, and nobody likes the change of leadership during war.
And I don't think we actually had the 2-term rule in at that point, did we? I think we came up with it?
After Roosevelt was.
Yeah.
After Roosevelt,
we wanted him to run for a 4th term. He just wouldn't do it because he wasn't physically capable anymore, I think.
Yeah. Well, I thought he didn't make it through his 3rd term. I don't know if he did, if he died or if he I don't know what happened, honestly, but Truman was actually.
Yeah, you're right. He did die in office.
Roosevelt's
vice president.
Yeah.
In 1944, Roosevelt sought an unprecedented 4th term as president. Truman was selected as his running mate, replacing Vice President Henry Wallace. So he was close enough to the end of his 3rd term that he had already announced he was going to run for a 4th term, and then didn't make it to the end of his 3rd term.
Right. Yeah, and then we did the 2-term thing, and
but it's funny because he's the reason why we came up with it, despite the fact that he was overwhelmingly popular the entire time and would have almost certainly got reelected for a 4th term had he not died. Everybody loved him. He was a great president.
Yep. Well, that was part of the problem, is that's what they believed, that it could be turned into a dictatorship.
Yeah, right.
Just out of population or popularity.
Yeah. Anyways, he didn't want to join into the war, and Churchill, very famously kept you guys got to get into this shit. We're not gonna survive it. Can y'all send it? Remember, he was trying to figure out ways to send them more equipment. We were sending them tanks and shit, but saying we can't. And I think there was even some law that was some law that we had that kept us from, or at least either kept us from doing it, or was his excuse for why we couldn't do it, or something to that extent. But every time Churchill would call Roosevelt and say, you guys got to get into this shit, he would be like, yeah, but Congress has these rules that keep me from getting us into a fight that we're not part of. And, something would have to happen that would.
Well, I do know that
which one was Pearl Harbor? Pearl Harbor was World War II, right? Isn't that what got us into it eventually? Finally, with we got attacked.
Correct. We got attacked by Japan.
By Japan, right? Right.
Pearl Harbor, and at that point, it was you have woken a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
It's a famous.
Right. Well, they thought we had. Our Navy was one of our strongest weapons, and they thought they would just utterly cripple our Navy because most of it was, parked in Hawaii.
Exactly. We were actually supposed to be doing training, whatever, out of Pearl Harbor, and it was supposed to be kind of a show of our naval might or whatever. But we weren't in the war. Don't get me wrong, we were not in the war, but we did move all our ships to Hawaii to do these training maneuvers. So most of our fleet was in Hawaii, and Japan said, hey, if we're going to get them anytime now, we could cripple them right now where they wouldn't be able to join it.
Yeah. And then we destroyed their Navy a couple of months later. It was it was a really big mistake.
Absolutely.
And what I always thought was interesting is I think some of a lot of play, the fight in Europe against the Nazis gets a lot of play, but I gotta say, I think that the people fighting in Japan and the islands and shit like that, the fucking conditions and the fighting and the massive amount of death,
Yeah, the Battle of Guadalcanal, I think that's what it was called.
Well, and they're like
That's
would be
amazing.
thrown on these fucking islands that had nothing but like mud and mosquitoes and malaria and death, and like it was like fucking like horrific. Like forget the fact that you got to shoot people and people are trying to shoot you. That's got to be like the best part of your fucking day in those places. You know what I'm saying? Like it was fucking horrific.
In New Orleans and you're a grown up that has now gone past your Bourbon Street days, there is a wonderful World War II museum in New Orleans. It's like 4 different buildings in this one block, and they're like catty corner to each other. It is amazing because it's broken up into the island part of the war, the naval part of the war, the ground troops on the west coast going through Europe, and then like the aerial combat. Then each one is shown specifically in a different area of this museum, and it's just amazing. But you have to be grown up and not be on Bourbon Street.
Well, there's I can't remember what it was. I watched a series on World War II, and it was like in every episode. It might have been. I don't know if it was that one or not, but it was good because it was like, you know, on the Eastern Front, right? And then it'd be like, but going on at the same time on the West, you know, it bounced back and forth the whole, you know, between the two, so that, you know, you could kind of get an impression of how, I mean, why we called it a world war instead of just a war. I mean, it was fucking crazy, all the places that we were fighting. And like, I say this.
Hitler was giving his troops cocaine and speed at the time to keep them awake. It was a drug that they said that would keep them wide awake and alert at their posts. And that was the whole during the Blitzkrieg, where they wouldn't sleep for like 48 hours and be like traveling in their tanks and everything. And he was feeding them cocaine and speed.
Yeah. Yeah. He was. I mean, yeah. They also fought long after he knew they were going to lose, because he just was like, "Well, if y'all are going to beat us, then fuck you."
Pretty much.
Yeah, and expected all of his regiments and all the different places to just continue fighting until they all died. Essentially.
Absolutely. There's at one point where he was telling us to continue fighting after their supply chain had been disrupted.
Yeah.
So they weren't even getting like food and rations or anything, and he was having them continue to fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was it true? No, I guess it was one of the generals. I can't remember what fight it was, but like they came in to sign a truce, and they finally like gave up because they like were almost out of ammunition and food and stuff, and they didn't realize that our troops on the other side had even less shit than they did. They just assumed because we were still fighting, you know, they're like, oh, we can't do this much longer. Only we couldn't have done it as long as they could have, and they would have won, but they just didn't know that shit. Yeah, you know, the other thing that I watched this weekend that was really fucking good. It's been out for a long. I love war shit. I watch it all. I can't believe I hadn't.
I'm basically turning into my father at this point. I watch all the World War II and Vietnam stuff.
Yeah. It's Medal of Honor on Netflix.
Oh, I think I have heard that one.
So good. There's like sorry. So like 8 of them, 10 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. And they like do reenactments, you know, and then they have like other Medal of Honor winners like that talk about it, and just other like high ranking soldiers and shit. But it's each one of them is an episode about a Medal of Honor recipient and what they did to get it.
Really?
Yeah. And it's really good because you get to like, I mean, obviously it's reenactments because they didn't videotape it or anything, but you get to watch like literally how they won it. You know what I mean? They like totally remake this, you know, like you're watching the guy do the shit that got him the Medal of Honor in the first place. And I mean, of course, I mean, it's the Medal of Honor. It's obviously unbelievably amazing shit that they do, because it's fucking impossible to win the Medal of Honor. Like, it's
Right.
I
You
mean, you
don't
have to
get it
do
for passing
some
out
right,
crayons.
right, right. I mean, there's like let's see, which one was this heavy? Oh yeah, so the very first one is a guy, him and his troops are pinned down by a fucking Nazi like machine gun nest, like, and not like a heavy gun machine gun, right? And they're pinned down, and they don't know what to do, and the guy just fucking picks up his fucking rifle and just starts fucking running like straight at those motherfuckers, like with, and he's like trying to swerve and shit, but essentially because of that they keep, they're able to like run and then like get down and crawl because they're shooting at that motherfucker because he's running right at him, so he's the one they have to shoot at, right? And so the rest of his division is like making progress. He gets shot 3 times by a gun that's shooting fucking rounds like this. I mean, like I don't even know how that's physically fucking. It doesn't matter where you get shot by a bullet like that. The hole that comes out of you is like this fucking big. I mean, it's fucking insane. He gets shot, falls down, and they think, oh, he's dead, and then like 15 seconds later, the dude's up and fucking running at him again, and like shooting at him and shit. And they're like, what the fuck? They start going. He fucking makes it to the fucking thing, shoots 2 Nazis and makes all the rest of them surrender to just him. There's like 6-7 dudes that surrender to one fucking guy that's like
he's crazy.
Yeah, he's got right. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, they're thinking like this guy must be a fucking, a super, I mean, yeah, exactly. They're like, what the fuck? But yes, he's got his machine gun, like his arm is shattered, right? So he has it like pinned in, he's like holding it like this, because it's the only way he can hold the fucking thing. And he has 8 dudes like throwing their hands up and shit. And then the rest of his guys get up there and they're arresting him. And there's another machine gun nest, like, almost as far away as the last one.
He's like, fuck it, I got the last one.
Yes, they shoot one of his, because he's I can't remember what his rank is, but he's he's the head guy of the division, right? So it's his division at this point, his unit. And they shoot one of his guys in the head. That's how they even know that they're there. And he just fucking gets up and starts running towards those motherfuckers. They finally kill him. They shoot him a couple more times, but the rest of his as soon as everybody sees that happen, everybody charges the fucking nest and gets them, right? But
I was gonna say, I use that technique in paintball, and
it doesn't work.
I usually die.
Yeah. Well, in paintball, you're not allowed to get back up if you have the balls to do it, and keep charging, I guess. But Jesus fucking Christ, who would do that? It's fucking crazy. Then there's another guy who, like, he was with a unit whose job it was to stay behind and slow down the Nazi front so that the rest of the division could fall back, get more troops and shit and come back to fight, right? But it was possible that the Nazis were going to overrun them before they got back and could regroup, right? So they leave one troop of like 12 people against this whole fucking unit of Nazis that are marching against our troops that are falling back. And they're like, your job is just to slow them down, right? And basically nobody expects you to make it back, but this is what it's you guys or it's everybody, right? And so they're like, all right, so they stay. And then the Nazi division shows up, and this one guy, they get him, they have them all surrounded, and they're like, surrender. And so they all surrender except this one dude who they haven't seen. And as soon as they surrender, they shoot them all, which is a war crime. You're not allowed to do that. It breaks the
Yeah,
Geneva
yeah.
Convention. You can't have somebody surrender and then kill him. And the guy gets all pissed off and grabs his gun and shoots like 12 people and kills them all. And so then it's just him, right? And instead of being like, all right, well, it's just me, I can't slow down a whole fucking division of Nazis, I'm falling back. He stays and he goes and lays in the middle of a street with like a fucking machine gun and just starts shooting motherfuckers as they come. And he kills like, I don't know, dozens and dozens of people. A fucking tank comes and shoots at him and almost kills him. And he goes and he kills all the fucking people with the tank that aren't in the tank, right? Before they shoot at him with the tank. Then the only dude left, the guy driving the tank, gets out to see if they got him and to try to kill him. He kills the fucking tank driver and then grabs his machine gun, gets back in the street, starts shooting more motherfuckers, dude. And he actually fucking survived.
And he lived.
He lived, yeah.
After the other guy was a little sad he died.
He was in that street for like 42 hours shooting motherfuckers, like whole platoons of motherfuckers all by himself, just shooting these dudes.
That movie, the movie I saw, the America, the movie, it was like that.
Yeah.
They were all like that, except it was George Washington.
Except it was everybody. I mean, this shit was crazy. And this dude was a guy, what is it? It's called what do they call it? F4. He got F4'd like 3 or 4 times. That's when you're not medically capable of
Going back to fight.
Not going back, like this, like he tried to join, right? And they were like, nope. And he came back and they were like, no. And
so
I think
he literally is Captain America.
Yeah, the third time they were like, all right, fine, because they needed troops badly enough, but they just made him a cook. Like he wasn't supposed to fight. And then shit got bad enough while he was there that they were like, hey, we want you to stay with this group of people that are like, keeping everything, while we all retreat. And he fucking ends up being the baddest motherfucker out of all of them. It's some crazy shit, man. I'm telling you, that's like some of the best war shit I've seen in a long time. Like these dudes are some bad motherfuckers. Of course, most of them die.
Wait. Just because I need to actually get this off my chest. Just a second. Let's see. Oh, I better not have missed it now. I watched the show about the men's rights activists.
That red pill thing, blue pill, something.
Not that one. This one's called Follow This.
Hey,
it's on Netflix, and
welcome
they
back.
have like 3 seasons, but it's only 1 episode. And it was Follow This, and it was men's rights, and it was a pretty decent. It's episode.
On Netflix. What was it on?
It's on Netflix. The series is actually called Follow This, and it was on the first season of Follow This, and it was called Men's Rights. What was really interesting about this is it actually had a woman who was part of the men's rights activists. And they were basically saying that a lot of the problems in the world is that they're taking away the men's position as I guess, like, I want to say misogynistic, but it's not, but just being a very manly person, I guess, and that they should be seen that way and they should be treated that way. And the woman that was doing the interview, she was down for it. She was like, yep, men should be able to have sex whenever they want, all the time.
I watched, the thing that got me kind of interested in it was a show on Netflix. I don't know if, let me see if it's still on there. It's called like Red Pill or Blue Pill or some shit. Red Pill.
Yeah, Red Pill.
And
red fish, blue fish, 1 fish, 2 fish.
It doesn't look like it's on here anymore. That's too bad. It was a documentary done by a woman who is a big, feminist and part of the women's rights movement. She's a reporter and a documentarian, and she did it like with the idea that she was going to look into how ridiculous and stupid it was, and and hate it, and then was like, oh yeah, this does all kind of make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? It wasn't so. I know what you're talking about. I have actually seen that. I've watched that entire series. I've watched all the episodes of that series, like 3 or 4 seasons, and there's episodes about different things in each season. It's a pretty cool show, and I've seen that one, and that one is more about like, you know, the idea that like we're asking men not to be like hunters and like, you know, the manly men type of things, and it's not good for us because that's what we're supposed to naturally be. I don't know that I necessarily. I mean, like, I don't think you should stop men who want to, you know, like if that's who you feel you naturally are, do your thing, you know what I mean? But like the idea that like we all are supposed to be like that and it's bad when we're not, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. Because again, like I think like the broader thing I think about everything is that anytime you try to decide that a group of people is supposed to be something other, you know what I mean, have something in common other than that one thing, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot because it's just
it's
never
stereotypical overgeneralization.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when the only thing that a group of black people have in common is that they're black, and the only thing that a group of men have in common are that they're men, right? They're all now. Will some of them have other things in common? Sure. And are there some things that maybe tend to, you know, be more common in certain groups? Sure, of course that's true, right? But to assume that everybody fits that standard is just ridiculous. It's never going to be the case. You say something, Doc?
Yeah, man, I thought he was going to give us his take on it.
No.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think that thing's not on Netflix anymore, which I gotta say,
The Red Pill.
The Red Pill.
Yeah, The Red Pill.
You sure it's not one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish?
No. If you can find it somewhere, I mean, it's worth watching. It's really interesting. Men got issues too. I mean, you know, that's my only point. Like, I'm not saying women don't have the right to be upset about the stuff that they're upset about or that the problems that they have, because they have problems like everybody else. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, we talked about it before. It's like you're not allowed to complain about being white. And I talked after the show. I thought about it a little bit when you guys were asking, or even when I was saying that I was offended at the idea that because I'm white, I don't have problems. I want to be clear. I wasn't saying that I'm offended that nobody realizes that being white gives you problems. That's not even what I'm saying. What struck me about what they were saying on that show is the idea that because I'm white, I don't have any problems, not any real ones, not racial problems, but just problems, period.
Or that you have a direct line to success.
Yeah, because I'm white, and that, yeah, I mean that too.
What show was that? I'm sorry.
Well, we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. It was that podcast about the In Treatment show, and the guy had said, the guy hosting the podcast had said, I mean, and it wasn't just one thing. It was like 3 or 4 statements during that episode where he was suggesting essentially that white people have this easy, you know, no hurdles road to success, that white people don't have any
overly generalized characterization.
Right. And one of the things that really bothered me was this idea that, again, not even from a racial standpoint, but just that, like, I have no problem, like that my, you know, like, and he even like says, I don't mean no problems, just not any real problems. I have real fucking problems, you know what I mean? Big, huge problems. Now, are they because I'm white? No, I don't, you know, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it necessarily has anything to do with that, but I have problems. The being white doesn't relieve me of problems, and it doesn't, you know, I have not had a straight line to success that had no issues or hurdles or shit that I had to deal with. Did I have an easier path?
Like statistically, I probably have to look at that show, but I understand what they have been trying to say, but then again, I can't come to a conclusion.
Right. Look,
only part information. What I think he probably left out a lot of factors, Like it could have been a factor that, not that there aren't real problems, because humans have human problems.
Right.
Bills come every 30 days.
Right.
We all have problems.
Right. Health.
But just a lot of times
Relationships.
hearing that narrative before, it typically comes with subtext as far as not the problems that other nationalities may have, with added the option to have a closer direction for success. Also, with the dynamic of the system in place is kind of weighted towards, if you apply yourself, it's not as difficult.
Right. And I agree with all that. I mean, I think, I've said all that, we've had conversations about that. Like, racism is a real thing. There are big problems out there that we need to be dealing with. But that's what I'm saying is, this wasn't one statement. This was several statements. And whether he meant something else or not, and maybe he did, right? I can't speak on what was in his head. I can only talk about what came out of his mouth.
Text me that podcast.
Okay.
Text me that podcast. Right. I want to actually review that.
Yeah, I will. But what he was saying, whether it was his intent or not, is essentially that as a white person, and I mean, there was lots of statements like the other thing he said was, for black people, freedom used to be being able to vote, used to be buying land and stuff. We can do those things now, but now it feels like in order to truly be free, we should be able to not have to worry about anything like white people do. And, I say it was just like several statements that, again, if his intent was something else, fine, but it's not what he said over and over and over again, which was essentially the idea that, like, we lead these very problem-free, easy to success lives. And that's pretty offensive. I mean, that's obviously not true. There are a lot of white people that have really serious fucking problems. And are they because they're white? Maybe not. And
right,
you're absolutely
human problem.
Right.
But what he's saying is that the overwhelming amount of other problems that can happen don't happen because of the fact that when you have
right.
other,
and that I would have agreed with, right? If
they actually have other problems because
right.
of
being black, right? Had he said that, which a lot of people have said, over time, I would have thought you're absolutely right, and that's fucked up, and it shouldn't be that way, right? But that's not what he said, and that's why it was. And I don't know that that's what he meant.
On its own. That's what I'm saying. In his wording on its own, that's why I say text me the podcast.
Yeah.
Because even looking at the context of it, or the wording he may have used, may not have been to your appeasing, but still, in a sense, his statement is his statement, his opinion is opinion.
Yeah, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I think there is a possibility that he meant something different than what came out, right? That's certainly a possibility. I mean, it's always a possibility, right? I think we don't often give each other, an out when we make mistakes like that, to come back and say, that's not what I meant. What I was trying to say was, and maybe I didn't pick the wrong words. I don't have a problem with that. Like, if he had come out on the next episode and been like, I got a little pushback on this and you guys are right. That's not what I meant. I meant this. I would say, yeah, okay, sure. You just, needed to add a few words in there.
He probably knew what he meant, and that's his view. Like,
right.
Give it to him give it to him as he delivers it. If that's what he feels, and that's what he meant, and that's what he feels he meant.
Maybe, and maybe that is what he thinks and feels.
That don't make it true. But
right.
That makes it his factual opinion.
Yeah. That doesn't make it unoffensive to me. You know what I'm saying? That can be his truth to him, but it ain't factual, and it is, and the fact that he feels that way doesn't make it any less offensive to me, that he's telling a large group of people in my society that people that are like me, have this real easy problem-free life, when that in fact has not been my life. You know what I'm saying?
Once again, that could be when you know this just as I do, when it comes to data, where you collect that data can curve the outcome of
Sure.
the
Sure.
equation.
Right. But I mean, look, I don't think, like you said, if we're talking about stuff that people have to deal with because they're black as opposed to the things people have to deal with because they're white, I mean, that's, you'd have to be an idiot to try to argue that it's the same or that it's just as, I mean, that's just fucking stupid. It's not. I mean, black people have to deal with so much more shit and it's so unfair and it shouldn't be that way. And I don't mean to like brush it off. I mean, that it's a horrible thing that's true and shouldn't be that way. But that's not what he was saying. And I don't think you need, I don't think any reasonable person needs any statistics to know that nobody's life, I mean, not nobody, no group of people's lives are, without any issues and without any problems to deal with. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Destined for riches and fame.
Yeah, and I mean, and here's the thing: he had a co-host. He had a co-host that is a brilliant, well-documented psychiatrist. I mean, this is a highly educated woman who should also not need anybody to bring up any statistics to know that what her co-host was saying was fucking insane. And she could have been like, wait, you're not saying this. What you're saying is this. And he could have been like, yeah.
Well, that's once again, based on the data that they may have collected, that could have been the outcome.
What?
Based on the data that they collected, that could have been the outcome.
That white people have no problems? What data could they possibly be collected? They would say that. You know what I mean? I mean,
that's the whole beauty of data. You can make the numbers say what you want to say.
Data.
All right, but I mean, that's like, I guess to me, it's like saying I got some data that says the sun doesn't come up every day. I mean, maybe but I mean, we're all intelligent enough humans.
You want to know what? The sun doesn't come up. The sun actually orbits or rotates. So perspective, based on your perspective,
oh damn it! You used a terrible example.
Based on science, it doesn't rise or fall. It's stationary, and we rotate. So you can make
terrible example.
You can make the data say what you want.
I know
it's a terrible example, but
no, he's talking about me because he's saying I used a terrible example because my point is there are certain things that reasonable human beings don't need data to know. I mean, we don't need data to know that 99.99% of people have real problems in their lives. Like, all know that's true.
Human problems, but then there's racial problems.
But that's not what he said. That's my point. He didn't say racial problems. He said no problems at all.
In what context?
In the all right, so,
that's what I'm saying. Like, does he say they don't have stomach aches?
You're gonna have to give him the thing.
I'm gonna have to listen to this. I'll say
I'll send you the thing. Look, I'm not
like, because that's foolish. Like, they don't have no problems. Like, they don't have stomach aches. They don't get a paper cut.
I'm not even talking about stomach aches and paper cuts. Like
But that's what I'm saying. Like, was he talking about they have no problems? Like, they don't get hot or cold? Like, in what context is he saying that they don't have no problems? That is I guess the example that is being used in. You see, when you expound upon it, well, they don't have no problems. To leave it flat as that, I'm going to include they don't have no problems, as in they don't get hot or cold, as in they don't have a headache, they don't have a stomach ache. And it sounds like silly and trivial.
The cop problems. You say you don't have
right.
Even that's not true. Like cop problems. I've experienced cop problems.
We have to know. We have to know. Everybody can experience a cop problem.
That's not true either.
I'm just playing.
But that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, there's a whole Netflix episode about some white dude who got his fucking door kicked in.
That they have no problem.
Killed.
It's like a cop.
Yeah. So he said.
He said you got. He said you're lucky. And I say, how? I'm getting pulled over. He said, well, luck is luck, good or bad.
Yeah, that's
All the
right.
people in the city I could have pulled over, I pulled you over. So you're lucky.
Mm-hmm. I just,
You're not gonna get out of this.
I think my point is a good point. Like it would not have been okay on a show of this level, right? Associated with a channel like HBO and a TV show that's getting all this,
Doesn't matter the accolades.
attention.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the accolades.
You don't know what I'm about to say, so how do you know it doesn't matter?
No, I'm talking about what you had said. It's not
Okay,
going
but
to
what I'm
matter
saying
the
is,
accolades.
I think there is a difference between what somebody says on our show where we have 27 people watching and a show where there's 27 million people listening. There is a difference, right? We could say whatever the fuck we want to, and the chances that anybody who gives a shit is going to make any noise about it is significantly less likely than if we had 27 million people listening. That's the point I'm trying.
In this day and age, all it takes is one person that can go viral.
Sure, it does.
So
that's true, but there are also millions of people doing shows like this, and very few of them get mentioned. But of the people doing big giant shows where everybody's listening, it's hard to make a fuck up and not get called on it. My point that I still haven't made is that on a show with as much attention as this show gets, with the kind of sponsors.
You said what you said. You should have. So he should have said what
No,
he said.
I don't. No, that's not.
What are you saying?
That's not what I was going to say. I don't think he should have. But the point I'm trying to make is if he had made a blanket statement like that about anybody other than white people, he would have gotten called on it. It wouldn't just be me with a show of 27 people that's pissed off about it. Everybody would have been pissed off about it. But because he said it about white people 5 times on his fucking show, nobody gives a fuck
pissed off about it.
That's my point. I am pissed off about it. And I think that, look, to your point, listen, hold on. To your point, I think there is a very good chance he maybe might have meant something else, but that's not what he fucking said. And nobody called him on it when he said something different than what we think he all meant. Nobody got upset about it. No, his co-host didn't say anything about it. They didn't come back on the next fucking episode and say, people that misunderstood, this is what I'm trying to say, which is what I fucking did. And I don't even have anybody fucking listening, right? And he didn't have to do that shit. Why? Because he was talking about white people. That's my fucking point. And that pisses me off.
But here's the thing.
Aliens, Nazis, and white males.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Okay, I'm listening. You there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I was like, here's the thing. And then I was like, oh man, that's bad timing. All right, go ahead. Here's the thing.
So no, here's the thing. All right. So when you say what offends you, that's why I added to what you were saying to show you, yeah. To show you like it's even more so silly, right? When you say to take your point and then apply it to a generalization, right? You say, oh, they have no problems. That's not even true. Okay, right. And I'm going to show you how even silly that sounds by saying they have no problems. Like they don't get paper cuts, they don't get stomach aches. When we know that's blatantly incorrect. You see? So the way you take it as how he's putting it, I accept that. And I also, not only do I accept that and say that, okay, here's how silly it sounds. I'm gonna show you how silly it also sounds, even how you take it. You see, he can say, oh, they don't have no problems. Like, that's crazy. They don't have no problems when we know that white people have problems. All right, well, yes, they do have problems. But not only do they have problems, they have, not only do they have problems that everybody have, they also get headaches. They also get stomach aches. They also, like, it's a human problem. So now what we have to look into is clarification of context.
Yeah,
and
but
that
I
may
agree.
be able to help you come to a better understanding of what he's saying. Because when you take it and listen to what from what you're saying, he said is no, white people have no problems. And it's like, first off, everybody has problems. Humans, animals have problems. You ever watch Animal Channel? Them motherfucking hyenas and them lions, people, everything has a problem, So what is the context that he's using it in?
Meerkat Mansion.
Well, I mean, like, one of the things he outright said was his example was his partner's white, and when his partner goes running, he leaves his keys and his wallet and his phone behind. And if he goes anywhere, he has to take all these things because something could happen to him. And so if something happens to him, he needs to make sure that he has his wallet and his keys and his phones with him. And so what truly being free would be being able to go somewhere and not have to worry that anything was going to happen to you. And
So
again,
even in that context, he's using his partner running. He could piece of satellite debris could fall from space and take his partner
but here's the thing that I'm having a problem with what you're saying is I agree with the point that I think he was trying to make, which is that it is much more likely that he's going to run into an issue where he's going to need to be able to provide ID of who he is, where he might need to have his phone so that he can fucking start recording to make sure, or broadcasting to make sure nobody fucks him up. I get all that.
That's an over hyper, like that's today's society, to where like it's now like I can't think of the word, but it's not even that serious in today's society.
I agree. Not only is it not that likely that is going to happen, that God forbid you go anywhere without your wallet or your phone, but it's also not impossible that it'll happen to anybody else. Like that can also happen to anybody.
You grew up in the 90s in Texas, and rule one, you have to have your identification. You have to have ID on you. Yep. Black or white, it doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that was the 90s before it became popular to get, everything has always been racist. It's just been an undertone to it. And I'm trying not to be contradictory, but you've always had to have identification on you. You want to have identification on you in the event that something does happen.
Right.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying is he's using an example of, and I don't know his part. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't have any, but it's like, it's probably not very smart for him to go out running without his ID or his phone, period. That's not because he's white. That's because he's just not aware of the fact that it's good to do that. Like, it's good to take that stuff with you. He's
applying it to a racial tone, basically, is what he was doing.
Right. And suggesting, not only putting a racial tone on it, but suggesting that the reason why black people aren't free is because they don't have this thing that white people also don't have. Right. And that was the bigger issue. And it was something that happened on an episode of ours, of even before that, where I was talking about an episode of the show where the girl on the show was saying that, it was unfair to her as a young black person because, unlike other groups of people, she has to worry about shit and that other people don't have to worry about shit. And I was saying that's a big oversimplification of a problem that does exist and that we need to be bringing attention to and doing something about, but nobody gets to not worry about anything. It's the oversimplification of what I know. I'm pretty sure they actually mean that I have the problem with. You shouldn't be oversimplifying that and passing on an incorrect message that I don't even think you're necessarily maybe trying to pass on, but that people are getting and some people are really believing, which is that things are much worse than they actually are, and that other people don't have to deal with any of these problems like some people do, none of which is true. You know what I mean?
But that's the beauty of being free, having the freedom to oversimplify whatever you want to.
Sure, but I get to be upset about it. That's my freedom.
Right. So it's the head eating the tail. There's always going to be something. So
right. But I'm telling it in the sense, okay, but my point of the story that we've been talking about here on the show for a few episodes is that it bothers me that one of the, the few groups, I mean, everybody seems to have a level of protection in the media, on social media, like on all this shit where you're not allowed to say certain things about people anymore, right? You're not allowed to be offensive to almost any group of people except white people and men, and and then it's okay. And that's my point, is that yes, it was an oversimplification, and yes, there is a real problem that they were probably talking about and should be talking about, right? But then they made an oversimplification that was offensive, and not only did they do that, but like nobody stopped them from doing it. The co-host didn't say, wait a minute, you shouldn't really say that. That's not true, and it could be offensive. This isn't a live broadcast. Nobody said, hey, we should go back and edit that out. That's not a good thing to say about people, and it's not true, and it's kind of offensive. Like, nobody called in after the show went out and was like, hey, that's kind of offensive. Are you sure that's what you meant? And then they came back on and were like, hey, we got a lot of feedback. No, that was an oversimplification of what I was trying to say, None of that shit happened because it was about white men, and nobody gives a shit about that. That's my point. That's part of why it's so offensive.
Well, it was about white men, and that offends you. Did they specifically say white men?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it not true, or is it? Did it say it was factual? Or was it their opinion?
Well, but I mean, often it's people's opinions that get them in trouble. I mean, you're right. I'm not saying that the guy doesn't have a right to say it. Of course he does. And you know me, I like, let's have that conversation. Like, if he feels that way, good for him for saying it, right? Like, if that's really what he thinks, then I've said on this show plenty of times that nobody can give me a better gift than telling me what they actually believe and why they believe it, because you can't get anywhere if you don't have that, right? So if that is what he actually believes, God bless him for saying it, right?
So I look at a beautiful dynamic, and it's are my keys in the car? I took them in the house.
But I'd feel that same way if it was a white person saying some fucked up shit about black people, if it's what they really believe, so that we could then have that conversation about it. But I would expect in that scenario people to get outraged about it, and that's the difference that's bothering me. There's no outrage.
Well,
you know
that's the beauty, and like maybe I see it in a factor that it's absolutely hilarious, but it's also not, because if you take how you feel and what you're saying, other nationalities outside of being black can apply that statement to their life, and it's just been an accepted thing for years.
And that's not okay either.
Right.
I'm not suggesting that that's okay. I'm saying none of it is. You're right.
What you feel, what you think, and how you view things at this very moment right now have been that way for, and I will say, black people,
right,
opinion for years.
Yeah. And they were right.
It was told to live with it, get over it. All types of like
right, and it was wrong when people said it then, and they were right to be upset about it. Like but that doesn't change. Like if they were right to be upset about it then, and the people that told them to deal with it were wrong for telling them to just accept it and deal with it, then that should still be true now about this, right?
Yeah, no, you're correct. You're correct. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that I that's why I say I think it's hilarious, because as a black man, I'm desensitized to it.
Yeah.
Right. It comes with birthright, the desensitization of it.
Yeah.
We already know how people are gonna feel about us. We're taught that in many scenarios at a young age.
Yeah.
Just being black.
I understand but real quick, let me just say this. Right. This isn't something that's happening to me. I understand that point, and I think for a lot of people, it is something like this, but I think the difference here is I feel like I'm relatively I'm in my 40s. Like I feel like it's been this way my whole life. Like this isn't something that I'm just starting to experience and be upset about. Like I feel like for the majority of my adult, like from my teenage years on,
because of the time that you live in, and you
right,
and
I've
where
been
you're going is
expected
correct.
to like just accept the fact that people are going to make fun of and talk shit about me, and not only is that okay, but me getting upset or at least expressing my
Because of the
disappointment
time.
problem with it is not okay. Like I shouldn't be doing, like as a white person, I'm supposed to just fucking accept that shit because it
It's
happened
the
to other people for
relevance
a
of
much
the
longer
time.
period of time.
It's the relevance of the time that you live in
Yeah,
is why you would feel that. That's okay.
right.
Right. So it's like, is it breakfast time, lunchtime, or dinner time? What
Yeah.
time on the lifeline clock are we as humans?
Yeah.
We're at the time. We're at the point in time where yes, you're gonna have this mindset and ideology. No problem. It's understandable. It's completely understandable. But for you to have that at a time 100 years ago,
Right.
200 years ago, it would be like, what?
Right. Right.
So it's all relative to the time frame.
Sure, I agree.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. But the other side of that argument is you're right. For really long periods of time, one specific group of people, especially, was dealing with that shit in ways that nobody else was. And you're absolutely right.
And that's fine. And that's
right.
fine. That's fine.
But the other side of it is, even if it's was a 400-year period, most people live 60 years, right? So no one person has dealt with it for 400 years, right? A group of people have, but one person has. Nobody's lived that long, right? So for none of us can experience it for more than one person's lifetime, and I feel like I've experienced it my whole lifetime. Like you know what I mean? Like right.
All right, so look at it like this, right?
Which couldn't be more than anybody else,
This example, when they mentioned 9/11, they say never forget.
Right.
When you talk about slavery, it's like, oh, we're changing the history books to show that all people came to America for an opportunity.
Did y'all hear that? They got rid of that statue. Sorry, go ahead.
Huh?
They got rid of that statue where the South Carolina, where was that big fucking riot and hold on. Keep going. I'll look it up. Keep going.
But the thing is that when it comes to one thing, it applies. When it comes to another, it doesn't.
I hear you.
I think that's the only difference in the argument, and it should apply across the board. But
Right.
we all know that that's not the case, and I think that's the real elephant in the room that's not addressed. The fact that we all know that it's not the case. Because like you say, and we've already talked about this before.
Right.
Right. For no one person lives for 400 years.
Right.
So therefore, you had people that were living generations upon generations
for the entire time. Right. And I'm saying, I feel like in a sense, I mean, look, you're right in the sense that I can't feel it as suppressing as it would be to know not only am I dealing with this my whole lifetime, but everybody who's looked like me for 400 years have had to deal with that. And that's certainly worse. I mean, I can't say that through experience, but I can only imagine how much worse of a feeling and how much more helpless that would have to feel, right? Like it's not just been for the 40 years I've been alive. It's been for like the 400 years before I was alive as well. This has just been the status quo. There's a really good chance it's not going to change until long after I'm gone. And that's got to feel even worse, right? That's got to be an even shittier, more hopeless feeling. And that sucks.
Right. So what it looks like, what the conversation is that it's not that it is going away, it's just changing. It's established in the creation of what we have. It's just it's changing. So the physical, the rules, everything is different, but mentally the game can still be played. And that goes into where he may have been saying like, okay, the problems, because the weight that one young lady you were talking about, the weight of her problems are real to her.
Yeah.
But in your perspective, it's outright crazy to even fathom that. But,
no. In my perspective, it's crazy for us to be projecting an idea that makes her really feel that way. I don't have.
She's projecting that idea that makes her feel that way, and that idea is based on her perspective. It's like
Perspective is created, right? Perspective is created by the message that's being projected, right? I mean,
right, but that's still her perspective.
My issue, but my issue isn't with her perspective, right? That's what I'm trying to say. My issue is that what's being projected out there allows her to have that perspective. That's my problem, right? We should be doing a better job.
It's the way of the world, buddy. There's no Santa Claus.
That doesn't have. I mean, it doesn't have to be. We don't. And this is, this is my point. This is why I have an issue with somebody making a generalization about white people like that. This is why I have an issue with people, portraying an idea that every black person who walks out the door has this extremely high chance of not coming back home because he's going to get shot by a cop. You know what I mean? Like, is that possible? Yes, and it's unfortunately a lot more likely for that person than somebody else, which is fucked up. But
so here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. That's just one concern, and it's a matter of it coming from the source, right? So that's one that everybody you have a spotlight. That's what it is. It's a light that shines on one spot. It's not an illumination of like everything. It's a spotlight. The spotlight is on that, right? But there are also many other variables that can happen.
Sure.
And there's a video, a film or something that I saw that talked about that, to where that the end result is getting shot by a cop. Right, no problem. But there's a 50-50 chance that you could go to jail. The human problem, you could get ran over. You get a bird could poop in your eyeball. It's there's the human problems, right? But the sad part is, on top of the human problems, there's this unnecessarily added racial problem.
There is, right? And I'm not suggesting otherwise. What I'm saying is, if we're the adult, right? Like, we're the adults now. I mean, the three of us are at a time in our lives where, like, we're supposed to be the voices of reason. Like, we're people of our age are the people who are making movies, who are making TV shows, who are writing books, who are doing podcasts.
No, bro, that's the way it was as we grew up. Now you got 9-year-olds making $6.9 million.
Right, but they're the exception to the rule. They're not the majority. They're not the majority. The majority, you're not wrong, but the majority.
They're not the majority, but
the majority of people who are influencing society's beliefs and messages are us now, right? And I'm saying, I'm one person, sure, but we're all one person, right? And it's all of our one person's job to be putting out a better message than, you should be terrified because who you are. You don't get to not worry about anything like everybody else does. And the fact that you have fears is this something that other people aren't having to deal with. And I mean, look, we all have that. That's part of the human condition. It's something that we all have to just learn to accept and get over in order to move on with our lives.
It's the applied dismissiveness to the point based on the narrative.
I'm not trying.
That's what it. No, not you. What I'm saying is that you may not be trying to, but society in a whole has its narratives that they dismiss.
Okay, but there can be more than one issue, even if that's.
But the girl's perspective on life has to be taken just as seriously as your perspective, as not all white people have.
But that's where I think that's an argument.
You
You keep coming back with that argument. I don't have a problem with her perspective. Like, you're arguing something with me that I don't have an issue with. I don't have a problem with her having that perspective. I have a problem.
As far as how it's broadcast.
Huh?
How you say it's
how she got there. That's my problem. What kind of society are we projecting that she has that feeling?
The part of society that you don't exist in, that she exists in, though.
No,
that's the thing. She exists in a society where that's her reality.
But it's not
society where that's not your reality.
And that's not true, though. That's not true. It's not.
That's literally the term of truth. That's her truth, because that's the society she exists in.
But she doesn't. That's the thing. She's talking about a society that does not exist. That's my point.
But it does for her.
Okay, and so I should just somebody who recognizes that she's afraid of a reality that doesn't exist, I should throw my hands up and say, poor her, she should just go on dealing with a reality that doesn't exist, and none of us should try to do anything to help create a reality that is more representative of what's actually happening.
So break it down to this factor. You say something is not. Is that admitting to or dismissing? It's dismissing it, right?
Dismissing what?
You have to look at the, okay, maybe I'm not explaining it clear. It's the dismissiveness, the nature of your perspective on her perspective.
Okay.
Is dismissive. You're saying that society is just factually not there. It doesn't exist. So you're dismissing her perspective.
No, and because again, you keep wanting to come back to whether I accept her perspective on life, and that's not my issue. My issue is not with her having
to where she is viewing.
So okay, look, let me break it down. Let me break it down to you like this. If let's say that we sectioned off a very small group of adults and children, right? And those adults taught those children for 17, 20 years before we let them out into the world, right? To fear the fact that when they turn 25, 75% of them are going to get shot because people like the people in this society get hunted down and murdered. It's such a high rate. Hold on. It's such a high rate that only 25% of them are going to survive it. And the other 75% are going to die. And that's not true. Right? That's not what's happening.
Pull them statistics of living in Compton in the 90s. It sounds ridiculous, but that actually might be a factor, bro.
75% of people not dying.
I'm saying 75%, but when you narrow down the corridor, like a block in Compton or South Central.
This girl in this show. This girl in this show lives in the Hollywood Hill. Like she lives in.
That doesn't matter, but she may not go near there, but she may know someone in that quarter of a mile or that 3-block radius.
So because of that, she should believe that she has the same fate as somebody who lives in that neighborhood, which, by the way, is not even the fate that she's describing. Like, we're talking about something different than what she's saying she believes in, which is something that's not true. Like,
she believes it because someone that she may know. You don't live on her block. I could just say, oh, she lives in Hollywood.
That she's not.
It's like I don't know.
She's not making specific references. She's talking about life in general, and you're saying that because there's one person on the face of the planet that might actually suffer that existence, then we should make her believe that's guaranteed to be hers. That's okay.
She has the right to feel that way.
I'm not,
because it is
oh
true.
My God, I'm not talking about her right to feel a way. I'm not talking about that. You keep coming back to it. It's not what I'm saying at all.
It's like, okay, I'll give you an example you may understand.
I'm saying in the example that I never got to finish because you interrupted me before I made my point, but go ahead.
Bro, look. All I'm doing is I'm listening to what you're saying, and
but you didn't, because I didn't get to finish my example before you told me it was wrong. You didn't listen to it.
Yeah, we talked about this already. I know what you're saying.
No, you don't, because the important point.
A world that doesn't exist.
No, what I'm saying is, in that example, I'm not mad at that the kids growing up thinking they're going to die when they're 25, because that is what they've been taught. And of course they feel that way because that's exactly what's been drilled into their fucking heads. What I'm upset with is the adults in that bubble who made them think that they have a 75% chance of dying. And again, this is my made up scenario. So you can't tell me that they are going to die.
That's
right.
fine.
I'm saying in my made up scenario, I know for a fact that 75% of people like them don't die when they're 25. Yet that's what they've been told their whole lives. They grow up terrified that that's what's going to happen. And I'm saying I'm mad at the people who are delivering the message to them that makes them feel that way. I'm not mad at them for feeling that way. I'm saying the people that are creating the message that makes them feel that way, those are the people I'm mad at. That's what needs to change. Because if it's not a real story that they're telling and they're making these people experience a reality that's not real, that's not fair to those people.
So what you're doing is you're applying your criteria to her perspective. Now, if she said the adults in my neighborhood around me taught me this, then your criteria would be correct. You would have specific adults to be mad about, the adults in her bubble. But from what you state, it's her perspective of the world.
Right. Okay.
So
the adults in my example are an example
what I'm trying to tell you, hold on. Let's just follow along with me. What I'm trying to tell you is that you can't apply your criteria to her perspective.
Why not?
Because they're two different things. She's telling you her perspective of the world. You're telling, based on your criteria, that the adults in her bubble.
No.
Right.
No.
If there were adults in her bubble that made it seem that way,
I'm not saying
yes, your criteria would be correct.
I'm not saying she's in a bubble. It's a metaphor, right? I'm not saying she's in a bubble with a certain group of people that are giving her a message. I'm saying society as a whole is delivering a message onto her that is not a correct message and is making her feel fear and paranoia and stress that is so much more than she needs to be feeling, because they're delivering to her an incorrect message that's making her feel like she needs to be more paranoid and afraid than she needs to be because she's getting an incorrect message. I'm not saying, I don't care. I don't know if it came from her parents or if it came from TV or movies, right? But society, all the information that's coming into her young developing head as she's getting ready to head out into the world is delivering her an idea that's much scarier than it actually is.
Did it come from the white man?
Maybe, sure. I don't care who it came. Like it came from all of us. I mean, it came from all of us. I don't think it came from black people. It came from society as a whole. All of us are giving her an incorrect picture. If I was in news, if I was making movies, if I was projecting a message out into the world like anybody else was, I would take just as much blame as everybody else. Like everybody who is creating what she's taking in is responsible for that. I don't think it's a race. I don't think there is a race group that's responsible for it. I think society as a whole is responsible for it. I mean, sure, white people. I mean, fuck, 90% of the people that are putting the news out of all these horrible stories over and over and over and over again, and not putting any numbers to put in perspective the stories
sticking to the concept of what you said. You also said that she lives in Beverly Hills. She's not even associated to that statistic. What I tried to do was give you an example of how wide range the idea is, that it would take, you'd have to also address other factors.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to address other factors. So one thing that I can tell you to where you would not have to address other factors is the simple, the base denomination is that it's dismissive. The dismissiveness of even having a comment to anything about her perspective, the view, anything it's going to come off as dismissive.
I think, yeah, maybe it will. I think it's
And
quite the
that's
opposite. I
that's the
think
huge
unlike,
problem.
but here's my problem is while people are thinking I'm being dismissive of how
Not
she
you, not
feels.
you, not you specifically, because what I'm saying is a lot in general, a lot of people have that understanding.
Yeah,
That-
maybe.
And what can happen is you don't realize you're being dismissive until you break down what you're doing. I have a practice that I say when I try to help people understand something. I say it out loud. Now, I got that from Kanye.
Right.
Say it out loud. See how it feels. See how it sounds.
Right.
Say it out loud. And when you say it out loud to yourself, you'll understand what you're saying versus how you're thinking.
I hear you, but my problem with it is that, look, this is an imaginary character for starters that we're worried about being sensitive to their feelings. But the thing is I think quite the opposite. I'm being very sensitive and acknowledging what she's saying to its in degree, which is that if we have young people who are feeling this way, then that's bad. Like these people have to go out and function in society, right? They have to try to go out. We have one life to live. They got to try to go out and enjoy their life as much as humanly possible, right? And yeah, we're all going to have problems. We're all going to have things we got to deal with and things that are going to make that hard. Sure, right?
But on top of trying to have the basic, what you call American dream, is what
if on top of all
the basic life is just being happy,
right,
you also have to deal with these problems.
You do, but that's what I'm saying. I want to deal with this problem. I'm not trying to ignore it. I'm trying to call attention to the idea that there are young people out there who are.
So go ahead.
Unfortunately, like thinking that there are much bigger problems that they're going to be going out into the world to face than there actually is. I feel the same way with global warming, right?
Hold on. Pause right there.
All right.
Now, what she did was the same thing that you just said you want to do. She wanted to bring attention to there is a whole world out here designed that you have this fear to where you may get killed, to where this may go on and that may go on.
That's not why she was saying it. She was in a room with a shrink. It wasn't about bringing attention to it. It was about her real feeling that she was about to. No. This isn't the podcast. This was on the actual show.
Right. This is her perspective on the show, but it was a show that was broadcast, right?
It's an HBO. Okay, sorry. Yeah, it was an HBO TV show. The idea is she's an actress who's playing a 17, 18-year-old kid who's just about to graduate high school and go off to college. And what she's saying to her shrink is that she feels like that's all pointless. Can you guys hear me? Because my video. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
She's saying that it's all pointless because what's the point in even trying to go out into the world and do anything or find any kind of success because people like her are just getting mauled down in the streets every day and essentially like there's no point in life. Like she's at a point where she feels like it's so bad.
Okay. So hold on. I'm glad you said that.
That's what bothers me.
I'm glad you said that. And I can understand what you're saying. So with that person playing a character that's saying that, you can look at that in different ways. It's being projected, like you say, as out to a world as a perspective that is not correct. The person she's playing, the narrative that she's giving is being projected and it's not correct. And that's what brings you an unease.
Yeah, because it's compounding this thing that on the show is imaginary, but I think there are real life kids who actually feel that way, right? And they're compounding that.
And that's what. But hold on, but and that's the thing. Because that make-believe character with a real perspective can be speaking to one actual child that's out there is the scary part.
Yeah, and making
what
them feel that.
is is making them feel like, hey,
What's
I
the
hear
point?
you.
Yeah,
I understand. What's the point? So now we move from we address that issue and then we correct it. We don't dismiss that perspective or that
I'm not
issue.
dismissing that perspective. I'm not trying to dismiss her perspective. Quite the opposite.
But
I'm trying to very
no,
much
I see what
pay
you're saying. I see what
attention
you're
to the
saying.
perspective
what I'm
she
trying to do
has
is what I'm trying to do is
and fix it.
I'm trying to tell you is that right, but what I'm saying is you can't get to fixing it. You can't get to part 2 without realizing you're on part 1. You may have your feelings about part 1 and how part 1 is being broadcasted, but she may be speaking to one child. And then you continue to listen in on how is that solved.
But that's the thing. That would be, I agree, that would be good, right? She talks about
So
this
they just
perspective.
ended the show with her saying that.
Basically, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Basically or accurately?
Accurate. I mean, the show did. Okay. To be 100% accurate, I don't know if that episode ended exactly there, but that, like, there was no continual conversation, like you said, of, wow, this is the way you're feeling. Let's have some real talk here. Let me try to give you some real perspective, like what you're saying, like, address the issue. Now let's fix it. There was no fixing of that issue. She said what she felt.
So she was just venting.
Yeah.
Okay. So then in psychology, another thing that tactic could have been utilized as is she's venting for someone who has no voice.
Yeah, I agree.
And maybe that's
I agree.
just good enough.
I agree.
Maybe that's just good enough.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I don't think you're wrong. If this was an actual therapy session, I would start to lean your way and say, look, maybe that's just something she needed to get out. Her psychiatrist knows better than I do if it was just something she needed to say, and there doesn't need to be any more said about that. But this isn't just a therapy session. This is a national TV show that people are watching and not getting the rest of the conversation that says, wow, it's horrible that you feel that way. Because in reality, although it might be bad, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Let's bring us back down to reality here. Let's try to focus.
That part right there. Slow down.
That's the part that's missing.
Fast. That part right there. That's the part. Like that's what I'm trying to show you.
Yeah.
Sometimes just letting it be is actually letting it be. When your girl says she about to bust, you don't change your stroke up.
Right, but when me and my girl are arguing, it's not on national TV. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference.
What I'm saying is that when you say let's bring it back to reality, is telling that person in so many words.
No, I don't.
I know you feel this way. However, it's like when somebody about to disrespect you and they say, with all due respect.
But what if it is really something that more additional information can be helpful? Like so we're just supposed.
But right now we don't have it.
Right.
They may not have it. How do you? That's the question. How do you? So
I mean, only
thing that show did was open the table for conversation for somebody who doesn't have that voice. Now that person may feel like, well, I feel this way. So then they can take in their personal lives and go further.
Even if that's true. If the show
were to go further, no matter what direction they would go, could be dismissive.
Okay.
It could be opinionated. Right now, they're just being a voice.
I'm gonna agree with you to get past this point because we're missing what I think the greater point is, which is what you're saying, which is
what do you feel is the greater
fine.
point?
The show didn't need to have the bigger conversation. It put the message out there so that people could start talking about it. Right? I'm talking about it. I have a show. Let's talk about it. I don't think it's good that young people feel that way. I want to, at least on my tiny little platform, do the best that I can to let people know it's not that bad and you don't need to be that afraid, right? The world is not coming to an end, right? Society's not crumbling. We've dealt with shit like this before. We'll get through it. You know, like, let's have that conversation. That's what I'm saying. Fuck the show. Like, I don't want people in real life. That's an imaginary chick. You know, like, that doesn't really matter. What I want is the people in real life who are feeling that way to understand that you're feeling scared more than you need to be if you think it's that bad, because it's not, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, if the show put it out there for us to talk about, then I'm talking about it. Like,
so let me ask you this. That's now here's where there's going to be a debate and all types of greatness, which we can is semantics basically. That whatever she's talking about, could that be the case in some of these places where you have like slave labor, child trafficking?
Sure. And for those people, I wouldn't be saying you shouldn't be worrying about this shit, right? Yeah. Like, okay, look, when we all have kids, right? We all have kids, yeah. Right? When they're young, we protect them from shit because we recognize them knowing that isn't beneficial to them in any way, but it's gonna hurt them to know it, right? It's 5-6 years old. It is gonna be the opposite of benefit. It's gonna be detrimental to their development for them to know about shit that they can't do anything about, right? That doesn't affect them, right? This girl is not in that situation. And to let her believe that she should be just as afraid as the people that are in that position, living where she's living and having all the opportunity in front of her that she now has, is detrimental to her and to anybody else watching and thinking that same thing. You see what I'm saying? Like, why are we hurting people that way?
The paid actor's playing a pretend role, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we all know that Captain America is not real. We know that the Hulk is.
Yeah, but it's not her that I'm worried about. It's the message. You see what I'm saying? The message is real.
So. But that's what I'm saying. Even if that message is real, what you're saying is that message is real, and that's the part that.
Fine. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Fine. Look, I'll drop my issue with the show. Fuck it. The show's real. I don't care. Like,
that's the sad part. That the message is real.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's okay.
The message in the sense that people actually feel that way. Yeah, right. That's the sad part. That's what I'm saying. The sad part is that there is people that really feel that way, even though it's not accurate, right? I agree. That's the sad part. Fuck the show.
And that's where we keep going back and forth. Because of the opinion that you say is not accurate. But if it is real, there has to be some sort of accuracy to it.
No, what's real?
The real is her impression of the world.
Right.
That's not the world. It's her interpretation of the world that's real.
Right.
To her, but it's not what's real in reality.
Right. I'm not saying I have a problem with her.
What was that?
You're talking about, but for that actress, you're saying that
for the character, right? For the character, she's afraid of a reality that doesn't exist. Is it wrong for her to feel that way? Of course not, because it's how she feels. You're absolutely right about that. I'm not trying to make, if she was a real person, right? If we're talking about the character, I'm not trying to unvalidate her feelings. I'm trying to unvalidate why she feels that way so that she doesn't have to feel that way, because she doesn't need to feel that way. Like, that's my problem.
You should be reassuring her that it's not as bad as it sounds like.
Exactly.
I mean,
like,
your kids are like afraid of, could be afraid of anything. They wake up crying at night because they had a nightmare. She's 18 years old and going out into the world with all the potential of an 18-year-old starting their life, and she thinks it's pointless.
Let me oversimplify it, right? She, and this is just an example for the people who may actually live that life. that may actually have these feelings, because the world is big when you're young. We were young. We had no idea of the world, but we made it through. I mean, we have some people that didn't make it through. We have some people that try. I mean, sit down and talk to.
Right, but I didn't start.
But
I didn't start with this idea that because I'm who I am, I have no chance of getting through it. I had fear when
that can be the case for some people based on that can be the case.
Not her.
Hypothetically, but what I'm saying is why I say I'll oversimplify and make it silly sounding.
She didn't.
With the odds of her getting eaten by a Tyrannosaurus Rex or getting shot, which ones are higher?
Shot.
Of course they are. But
so if there's
it's not a black and white thing. It's not a yes or a no, or it's not either can it happen or can it not happen. That's not. She's not expressing that there's a possibility of it. She's expressing an idea,
a probability. That it's a definite that she won't.
Yeah, like that. It's almost a definite. It's so much so that her life has no possibility to it.
That's possible and probable. Two different things.
Yeah.
So even if the chances are 1 in 10 trillion, you can still be that one.
Yes.
Or you can be 10 trillion.
Right.
But it's probable
somebody should be putting in perspective the difference between 1 in a trillion and a certainty, because those are two different things. That's my point.
Right. So she's not saying it's certain that she is not going to make it.
She's saying it's certain enough that her life has no purpose, and that is too much certainty.
Okay.
Anybody who thinks that life is so destined for death and destruction that it has no purpose.
So that's part one. And this is what I say. This is what I say. I understand. Part two is how you proceed. And we already touched on that. They didn't proceed. All they did is just open the table for conversation.
Right. And again, my lesser problem is whether the show should have done that or not, although I think they should have. I think that would have been the more appropriate thing to do. But you're right. My bigger problem is that that's a TV show. My bigger problem is I think there are children out there who really feel this way in real life. And I want to do everything I can to try to
feel this way.
Sure, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I think it's sadder when it's a child that's just getting ready. I mean, at 18 years old, should you have some fear in you? Of course, the world is scary, but you should also have, 18-year-olds should also have this like endless feel of like everything is possible. I'm about to go make my life, my mark on the world. Like, cause it kind of is at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but that's different. So I had to talk with my daughter 16 and I talk with my daughter about her friends. We talked and I asked her, she said a lot of her friends are a couple, not a lot, but a couple of her friends are suffering from depression.
Yeah.
These are 16, 17.
Right. I mean, race isn't just
suffering from depression, right?
Right. Global warming's the other big giant one that like so many people just are sure that in 20 years we're all going to be dead. And is that a possibility? Of course it is. Is it is it definitely what's going to happen? Of course it's not.
Right. Hey, sorry guys, I gotta get going.
We're 30 minutes over.
All right, you guys. Hey, we'll pick it up next week.
Love you guys. See you next week.
Love you guys.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Peace.